Well, let's go to open discussion. You can launch with the Tesla Tech. Why don't we do that?
Okay, so we're on the roster for Tesla Tech, and check this out. The date and time of it's pretty much Friday the 13th at 1300 hours. We're going to be giving a presentation at Tesla Tech. I think the synopsis is down over here. Yeah, basically just giving updates on all the experiments, including Alciphon, Frolsat, Benduric, TT Brown, Mercury Vortex Engine. So anything that we come up with at that time, we'll be presenting at the Tesla Tech on Friday the 13th at 1300 hours, which is a pretty interesting number. So that is what's going on over there. I know there's Mike Gamble plans on being there. There's going to be a couple other presenters. So if any of you want to meet up with us, that will be a great place to meet up and have some have a couple shots or something out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's in August, so a great place to be. Middle of the summer, go to a desert.
Well, you know, Albuquerque's not that bad, actually. It's the higher elevation. In fact, that was where the STAFE conference was. In the winter, this surprised me. In the winter, they get pretty decent snowfall. Last thing you'd expect, but I mean, they get, you know, the year I was there, what was it, February or something like that? I think they had 6 to 8 inches of snow.
Oh, also, I heard that Albuquerque is pretty high up. It's a good thing you mentioned that. And at night, you have very clear view of the Milky Way and all that. And this conference falls on the Perseid meteor shower, which this year is going to have only 13% moon. So it's pretty much the moon is out of the picture. So we should see a really nice meteor shower. It'll be, I think, the 12th, August 12th, and the morning of the 13th is when it's going to peak. And you should be able to see like 100 meteors an hour, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah, well, so again, guys, this is open discussion. So anybody who wants to present or chip in or has thoughts to share or anything like that.
Giannis, you want to tell us about that spaceship? If the Ecturians, the blue Ecturians told you how it works?
I can talk about, yeah, sure. If you are interested, sure, I can do that. So actually, they did not tell me how it works. I don't think it would work for people here to build it because it's presumable, not physical. Although my girlfriend mentioned some lights she saw during the night, which I never saw myself. But actually, what happened when I was 19, the night before, I was thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to send this low energy waves to some extraterrestrial cool race? I don't know, aliens. And what happened then is that they so they don't contact if respectful beings don't contact people without their prior consent. I would put it like this maybe. So, and then in the night, I fell asleep, and then bright light, and I mean, people could say it's a dream, but I know which dreams are dreams, and I have had lucid dreams, and it's nothing like that. So I was, long story short, I was in their ship. I was thinking today it could have been like they simulated a 3D room for me to like process the information, because it might be just too much, you know, for normal psychology of people. And then what happened next is they were bluish. It's interesting, blue, yeah, blue, a bit taller than me, but not too much, about equal size. Could have also been like their idea of not scaring me. Very benign feeling, so very peaceful, like blissful. I didn't do any drugs. I'm not into this. And then like this, they didn't speak or explain or even, they didn't even telepathically like in thoughts, but it was more like a presence and an aura, like an, yeah, like by the feeling, like by their projection. Maybe projection could be a good word, yeah, psychologically. So and then next happened was they did some throat chakra operation. So they maybe they opened something energetically, and next what happened is they teleported me in Mexico, in where we have our house there in the field, to the ground, and I had I was there in the field standing, and the house was over there, and then where I sleep is like here, another small house. And then what I saw is like, if you in an image editor you invert the colors, RGB to their invert colors, what happens is it looks like different color spectrum, and I saw thoughts and feelings visually, like synesthesia maybe. It's difficult for me to, I don't have the words, they don't exist in the language, but imagine you can see the thoughts pattern floating like little clouds around, and I could hear what the people in the house were thinking. Later, I don't remember the exact words, like maybe when you hear a song that you don't know how it goes, but you yeah, this song, it's like in the back of the mind. And what I also was there, I got teleported 2 or 3 times around in the field. And in dreams, usually one has more like blurry vision or experience than what I have, or more black and white or some color maybe. And in lucid dream, it's like super bright and everything is fantasy, you can control it. But in this one, it was really like if you walk through the normal street, it's like this type of vision, but with a different color set filter. Yeah. And then next thing was I was back into their ship, that it's maybe only then some throat operation. I mean, it could have been some calibration on the ground. I have no idea. Then they again like had this very peaceful. I always felt great. There was no scaredness to it. It was a little bit on autopilot, the whole experience, not as much as in a conscious dream, but a little bit of that was there. So they had my experience under control, but I was consciously experiencing it. And then once they finished with this operation on the throat chakra, which is the 5th chakra, you can look up the stuff. Yeah. Then they sent me back to where we were sleeping, and I instantly woke up, remembered the full thing, or like it's not like usually when I wake up and then I have a dream, it's like it gets into consciousness at waking up. But this was more like like yesterday this happened kind of feeling, but in the night, or like when you go to sleep and your body wakes you up, it's not like you remember the dream, but you remember the last night where you went out or something. So it was this kind of knowing what just happened. And then I talked about it with my family, but of course it's difficult to relate. Yeah, and that was one experience, but I don't think it's that too interesting because actionable. You cannot really do anything with it. More interesting to me was people talk a lot about this law of attraction stuff and hermetic laws, but I think they have got a lot of it wrong, because obviously with a lot of people it doesn't work. And the problem that many have is they think that if they just want it enough, it will happen. But actually, if someone wants something, they are signaling unconsciously that it's not here yet. And so in a no time space, like if time is the movie Arrival from 2016 talks about this, that time is circular and that something is or is not. And you can imagine that the future is now, but it's not there. It's not we're not in our linear time. We're not there yet, but it's happening now. It's just not confirmed, and it may be mutable still, like in like memory pool of blockchain, for example, as a metaphor. And as it gets as we go through time, it gets confirmed into the past, and then it's I guess it's still mutable. I don't know about this, but it would split some timelines, so maybe we would never know that something changed. But I believe the future is not set in stone, but it's like sort of maybe like when a ray of light goes down. There's some NVIDIA good movies, good coverage of in YouTube where they filmed the ray, and it has like some probability. But then it only touches at one point and then everything goes this way. And before that, there are many options open, but then it goes down there and that's where everything grounds. So maybe as a metaphor, I think this is how time works, or how our time-space linearity. Anyway, I was talking about this law of attraction thing. So one thing I figured out 2 years ago is that my life, it is how I will it, not how I want it. The difference is crucial to understand. It's not about willpower or wishing something or whatever. It's just like I thought myself, like everything that is in my life, my situation, my circumstances is because of my will. So people will often ask at some point in their life, what do I actually want? What should I do with my life? And then they have some purpose that they go on with this, or it gives them joy. And this is a good indicator, I guess, this joy feeling. But more scientifically speaking now, so the will is what is at the moment. And in physics, I think this is very interesting because there is in quantum physics, there is this concept of non-locality or supralocality, where something can be in two places at the same time. And yeah, again, I'm missing a bit the words, but basically, when I want something, let's take example of money. If I want more money, I have a lot of programs how I would get there, but those programs are limited by time space constraints. So much more effective way would be just to say, how would it be my life if I already had all the money I want? Yeah, again, this word. How would my life be if I would live in abundance? And then what would I think? How would I act? How would I speak? Who would I be? Like identity level. And then naturally I would start to shift the behavior. And as we know, rich people get richer and poor people usually stay poor if they don't change the mindset. And it's more about education, because you could give a perfectly fit body to someone who has eating disorder, and they would shift that over to that disorder. And you could give someone with very fit mindset or very good habits of eating and someone who cares a lot about their physique a very much of weight, and it would maybe a year or a half a year and it would change back. And it's the same thing with anything actually. So our 3D reality we have, it follows what from upper fields of imprinting down to the lower. So when you guys talk about metamaterial and about this 0 point, I think of it as like the fifth dimensional, where time space is like all time space is at one dot. This would be like the fifth dimensional, like every time, every space in everywhere is just at one point. This is the fifth dimension. It doesn't mean that there could not be no change there, but it's not a place where one goes into the past, future, or into XYZ shiftings, but actually it's one place where every place is at the same time. There is some, for example, if one listens to the silence behind all sounds, one will notice that silence permutates all space, all sounds. Or another idea, the prism breaks light into different colors. So what is this light? We don't see it. Well, it's in a different frequency band, and then the prism breaks to different sub bands, which we call colors, which we then see with our eyes. And the light, it's visual light, but then there is also four-dimensional light. Maybe this time crystal science can go into that, but then there is also like five-dimensional light, which means it casts no shadow. Spiritually speaking, it would mean like a love that knows no opposite hate of it. So something that accepts negative emotion as well, and doesn't change its presence just because something negative happens. So something like total acceptance or peace, if someone is really at peace with what is in the world, even though something may not seem like good, they just say, okay, it is like it is, and I'm glad. And this is very interesting, I think, also for the field of learning and of problem solving in physics, because if someone struggles with some problem, rather than trying to do a lot of work and research into one direction, they could just as well be grateful that they don't understand it, that it is stuck or something, and that very thought or feeling of stuckness and of not making sense something, it will shift, and it will make a room for the new information that is actually then which will get into one's self. And actually the Arcturians, well, if they were, I don't know, I just researched later Arcturian starseed, and I saw with the Google images, I referenced it, and it's what they look like in the ship. I don't know, maybe. So what they did is they didn't telepathically communicated stuff, but imagine you look at a book and you would know what is in the book, and maybe then the book is sending something to you, but there's no time or no distance, because if you just look and then you instantly know what is there, then it means like it's quantum entanglement, and maybe that's their method of communication, and the way to gather those knowledge bits or those feelings is by obtaining resonance to it. So if you yourself have a feeling of gratitude for the good things in life, and then project that feeling of gratitude to the bad things in your life or bad feelings, what will happen is you will regain power over the bad and negative feelings. They will begin to resonate in gratitude, and they will go up. So physics of feelings can be translated into physics of magnetics and resonance and electricity. It's no coincidence that we have our brain is a quantum computer itself, as it's no coincidence. It means it works in similar ways.
I got a question.
Yeah, please. Yes, thank you.
You mentioned that your experience with lucid dreaming.
Yes, but that's a part. Yeah, I can go into that as well. Yes.
And you
please.
and you were saying that, but this was different.
Yes.
This was different. Was it because you could remember more?
It was a different, like when a computer accesses memory, one could say some memory is on the hard disk, some is in the RAM, some in the CPU cache.
Right.
And when I was remembering, like when you remember yesterday, and when you remember maybe a dream you had as a kid or some time, and when you remember lucid dream, it feels different. It is a different memory block.
Yeah, well, lucid dreams, you can kind of tell it's a dream because
right, you know it's a dream.
Something it changes. For example,
exactly,
something will just like transform right in front of you, and that's how you know you're dreaming. It's like sometimes
you wake up to the dream without waking out of it, right?
Right.
And then you
so
have control over the dream. Yeah.
When I think I'm lucid dreaming, I'll take my finger and push it.
Yeah. Reality test. Yeah.
Like
exactly.
that. And if it goes through, I know I'm dreaming.
Right.
Right. So
and
now
you know, when you know this,
bring this up is because
yes.
I learned about this from a book I read that I got from that Hal Puthoff recommended to me, and it's called An Experiment with Time. And now I'm going to see if I can show this to you. Let's see, here is it. This, I think it's right here. There we go. So now what this author did is he basically he employed this experiment mainly in order to seek for the barrier, if any, which divides our knowledge of the past from our knowledge of the future. And the odd thing was that there did not seem to be any such barrier at all. So now I'm going to unshare this.
Mhm.
So what I was interested in is I'm kind of studying the concept is this consciousness. Does consciousness continue when we die? In other
Yeah, it
words,
does. It
is
does.
consciousness
It's
something that that progresses, from the past? It's like infinite. It's like electromagnetism is forever.
it's 5-dimensional consciousness, yeah, at least.
Right. So, and what this book, Experiment of Time, is, he does these basically experiments where he writes down his dream, and then he distinguishes, is he dreaming about something that happened in the past or
Mhm.
something that happened in the future.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he could test it to see if it was the future. He could test it because then it would actually happen. Something would actually happen. And so I would recommend you read this book, because it's basically it comes back to this idea of cyclical time. Time is not a straight line. It's a circle. In other words.
Yes. The movie Arrival talks about it.
So yeah, so I just recommend that book for you.
Thank you.
It's called An Experiment at Time, and it's called by Dunn, and it was written in 1927.
Experiment in Time
Yeah.
by?
Let me share again. I got this share screen. It's
I can go photo read it. Yeah.
Experiment with Time by J.W. Dunn.
Time
That's
by
the book.
J.W. Dunn. Okay. Yeah.
And there was one other thing I wanted to show you. Where is it? Oh,
Actually, most of the stuff I learned, those some of the psychic abilities, they don't come to me by practicing them. More like I am by releasing negative emotions, and they come naturally out of people. I guess I've talked to many people. It's always the same.
Cool. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to share that with you, because
Thanks a lot.
it kind of I think it's a kind of a cool idea that, like I study ghosts and stuff like that, and I've seen a lot of like ghosts of they have ghosts of pets, which I think is kind of cool, because if you think about it, I have cats and pets that have passed on. Wouldn't it be cool if you could hang out with your pet?
Well, why not? Yeah, of course. I wouldn't recommend doing it while you're alive, because one should live life where one is, not where one isn't.
Right.
It's my opinion that we should not be talking to dead people or stuff like that. Usually, the dead people should go into the light and yeah, mind their own business maybe. And but one thing that I can say is that I personally had this out-of-body experience where, for me, it's clear there is no death, at least not of the consciousness. And also, it kind of also proves the point that suicide is futile, because usually people do this out of pain and some apathy feelings, but it won't work, because one would still have them, and so it's not a solution.
Well, some people think you regress. Maybe you come back as a mouse or something.
I don't believe in punishment or in this type of stuff, but
I don't believe in punishment
I
either.
think it won't work the way some people may hope it would. And I think that people eventually die when their time comes, and but there's free will. This is my personal belief. I mean, anyone can believe what they want. Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for sharing this with us.
And the thing one thing I remember, which is very interesting, also like in physics, is this the thought I had about when we think about thoughts, when we observe our own thoughts, they have a type of luminescence to them. So they have a light quality and maybe a sound quality. Jeremy, you're muted. Yeah. So the light or the sound they may have, one can observe.
Jeremy, you're muted.
Yeah, Jeremy.
You know, I think Jeremy might be talking to his YouTube channel.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
forget that too. But.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Jeremy.
So when we observe the thoughts we have, usually people see them as auditory.
No, I just ended the
Oh, yeah,
stream on
please.
YouTube.
Ah, nice.
You guys know.
Thanks.
So I'm
Excellent.
5 hours. I'm done.
Great. So the thoughts we have in our minds, right? Our thoughts, they're audio, and when we listen to them, we can also try to see the audio. Maybe synesthetics can find more understanding in this, but what someone can do is like imagine what visuals would a thought have, or like repeat one thought over and over again and observe the light which one might perceive. I don't know. And then why I say this is because one can shift up this light frequency, one can play with the feeling as well. And which I did is I tried to, yes, exactly, meditation. I would also at this point mention Judy Krishnamurti. He has a lot of rational spiritual insight, which I really find very interesting, intriguing. So when I observed this thought, I thought of the thought love or light, and then or peace, joy, take something like that, gratitude maybe, and then I observe it, and the light that comes out of it, or which I perceive, one can also direct it like a beam of light. So maybe telepathy can be practiced like that. But more interesting, I thought, then why not send this thought to some other dimensions, like the fifth dimension, or to love itself as a idea of Platon or to God, whatever it is you may think comfortable. And then what happened was I had this vision where I had all of a sudden two characters. So it was me here, like we all are, but then like in a type of heaven-like dimension, I had another side. So I saw in one plane and saw normally in this plane like a normal human being. And then it came to me over the course of some days that, oh, I always thought enlightenment must be like I go up somewhere, or I am somehow released from pain or whatnot. But actually, it could as well be that humans are supposed to be in the human condition. I mean, it makes sense, right? And not go to nirvana and run away from the planet or from the problem, but just be where we are and do our work as we do, and try to not try, but actually make peace with like our parents, for example, or our children. I don't know, with our workplace colleagues.
Go with the flow, huh?
Yeah, and start with cleaning your own room type of talk. Yeah, and I think the first own room we have is our own mind, our own, and also our own knowledge body. We can educate ourselves. Yeah, I mean, this is the great thing about these conferences, which I love about. Yeah,
We're humans.
yes.
So
Yeah,
I
we're
wanted
all
to-
flawed humans. We're
Yes.
trying to figure out how the craft worked. Did they give you any like tidbits of information, say like, you know, certain
Well,
voltage, certain
Look,
waveform?
if you experiment, like what is the problem you have now? What is the biggest problem we have now?
Are you talking to me personally or the field?
No,
in
in your
general?
math, in your engineering work, or like, what's the next step you're missing?
A working model, I guess, something that actually works.
What do you? So you don't have it now, right?
I mean, we might have it. The thing is, we have too many of them.
So your problem is actually you don't know where to go next, or what is the problem you have?
How much
Yes.
space is in space? How much space is in that space of our space?
A lot.
I'd like to know that. That's a good part of the model we
Space
should
has
really be
lots.
considering.
Hey,
So
Mark,
when you would
I-
when you would notice, what would be your wish out of it?
guys, I'm going to make Mark the host. Actually, I
Please.
have to bail out for a few minutes because my wife wants
Thanks a
to eat
lot.
dinner.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
So, well, it's still going, so no stress, guys. It's still recording also. So,
Okay. So when I ask this question, maybe asking differently, if you had access to infinite sources of knowledge, what would be your next problem, or what would you expect that now you don't have the problem anymore?
I would ask them how the Tic Tacs fly.
How do Tic Tacs fly?
The
And-
Tic Tac UFOs, how do they fly?
Okay, and then if you knew that, and you would also ask, how can we do it, right? Like,
Yeah,
where
that's
do I
pretty much-
buy the stuff? I hear a lot, like, where do I buy this? Where do I get material sourcing? Okay.
Usually eBay.
Yeah. It's fun, eh? It works. You just get some old
You
stuff.
get lots
and
of stuff on eBay.
Right. So then your problem is actually that you're not there yet, right?
Obviously, we're not.
That exactly, that you don't have the information that you
We might have the
But
information.
we
It's all
kind
you
of
might
are there,
have-
though. That's the thing, is we kind of
Mhm.
are there already. It's in the back of our minds, and we can almost taste it. We've become aware that we're getting so close that we can see all of the things falling into place, and it's so very clear that we are just on the precipice. But it is impossible to call it ahead of time, because I feel like we would lose it if we did.
So if it's back in your mind, it would be great to just turn around and look in that direction, right?
So I guess the one wish I would ask for the universe is for clarity.
Clarity, yes. So what's the opposite of clarity then? Like fuzziness or obfuscation, or what is it?
Randomness.
entropy.
Randomness.
Entropy.
Entropy. Entropy is actually great, because without entropy, you would get static and you would lose it, you know.
Yeah.
But I think randomness, maybe this confusion, or not sure know where it is or in which
Chaos.
direction to go. Yeah. So uncertainty, maybe uncertainty is maybe the right word. So then what I would do is you go into that feeling of uncertainty and of confusion, and usually confusion arises when one tries to control something. But if you're in the feeling of uncertainty, and you should be fine with it, because it means you know that you don't know, and before that you will not be successful, because if you don't know what you don't know, you won't know what you have to know. But if you are fine, totally fine with not knowing stuff, like feel grateful for confusion and for this unclarity or for entropy, randomness, however you want to call it. If you feel grateful and joyful about it, funky stuff happens, because all of a sudden there is no reason for there to be this confusion and this randomness, and the mind works in this way that it will generate the new knowledge. You could try it out, I mean, today or tomorrow.
Indeed, it is so much fun not knowing, and it is so much fun knowing that you don't know, because then you get to poke a tiger and it gets to correct you and show you all the ways that you could have been wrong and all the things that you might not have even thought about that you didn't think that you thought about.
Yes. And be happy if you're stuck, because it means you could get unstuck, right? I mean, if someone is stuck, it means they know one way not to go, or maybe they feel resistance. So it means, like in physics, if you translate this, there is some friction. So what I was thinking, a lot of people try to do frictionless design or whatnot. Why not do the opposite? Like use the friction to propel something, you know? Or when people talk about there is no way to do infinite energy, well, there are many different energy sources, and if you put an output into an input and make this in different models, it might become what you're asking and still not violate the classical laws of physics. Yeah. Also, what I was writing earlier, actually, is someone said worst case and best case, and like some range, right? And worst case was something about when it's unity, so when there's no difference or something.
Now, how could you say no to
So I thought then maybe the worst case is the best case, but we have the wrong set of presuppositions. So stuff like that, when one feels grateful about something not being as good as it should be, all of a sudden one realizes why it is good actually, why stuff that actually usually sucks is actually good, and the mind creates this alternatives which explain why it is good. So a practical example my sister had in math.
I think
so,
we're getting off like on a tangent of
sorry.
metaphysical sort of like psychology crap. This is supposed to be an engineering conference, so we're hoping like there'll be some engineering inputs.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't like to have it labeled as crap. But I'm fine with you doing engineering. I'm
I'm
just
sorry.
be aware that if
expect
you have
that.
infinite IQ, you wouldn't have any of those problems. So maybe work on discovering how to increase that.
Well, I guess that's a lifelong endeavor. But
If you want it to be, sure.
Hey, could I
got to work with what you have.
That's
could
true.
I
Yeah.
share that new video that they released? And
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Start. Can you? Is the
Yeah, I
sharing
got it
working?
right here. So
Let me log off because I'm gonna sleep. It's 2 a.m. here.
Oh.
It's been great with all of you guys. Wish you great success, and I want to order one of the UFOs. So please make it work.
Yeah, check out
Okay,
that book
try
I told
that.
you about. That's a
I
good-
will. Cheers.
So this is this is the new video you guys were talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
Can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So and then people are saying, oh, well, it's so grainy. Why is it almost looks like, if you look at this, it almost looks like it's like somebody's taking a cell phone video of a monitor. It almost looks like, doesn't it?
Looks like IR, and it looks like there's a heat signature as well.
Well, no, it's an IR signature, but I'm just saying the part of the reason for the poor quality is you're taking a picture of an image, like on a screen of something. Follow?
Yeah, clearly somebody's recording the screen from a phone or something.
Right. So now the fact that it's dark, the object is dark, means it's, in this view, it's warmer than the surrounding. It's warmer than the ocean water too. So, and then what's interesting here is when it goes into the water, notice how it goes up and down. When it disappears, it's kind of weird. It looks there. See that?
Almost like there's some sort of electrical effect between the water and the vehicle.
Yeah, it looks like there's some kind of interaction going on. It's not a seamless transition into the underwater.
Mm.
Which, you know, when they describe it, they say, oh, it didn't splash. It didn't splash. It's almost like it's buoyant for a minute and then it goes down. You know what I mean? Let's watch that again.
It almost seems to drop faster than the frame rate once
Yes.
it plunges.
Something just happened. I don't know what happened to my screen there. Oh well. But that's the newest release, right? That film was verified by the government, wasn't it? I think my, oh, there it goes.
I do not know, but have you guys, and I've been in and out, so I apologize. I normally just lurk, but have you guys heard that the pyramidian shaped one was likely an artifact, was ruled an artifact? Have you heard that?
No.
Now, what do you mean by an artifact? Do you mean like a
Artifact of the lens artifact of the IR, the camera they were shooting with.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I just heard that on an interview, I forget with who, a day ago.
huh. Yeah, that it could be an IR artifact. Well, I could imagine if you change the field of view, you could probably create some kind of anomalous things, but I wouldn't think it would be permanent like that.
Or you can use holographic imaging.
I think it had more. I think it had more to do with simply reflectance off of the lens, because, and I don't know much about this, but the with IR, and you have emissivity issues, right? Black body issues, and if you don't calibrate, or if something changes dramatically that throws off your calibration, you can get reflections off your optics that look like you're getting an actual, signal.
Yeah, well, it'd have to have a light source, and the light source would have to be in the infrared. So that would
No. What I'm saying is, let me rephrase. What I mean is that the lack of if there's a problem between the calibration and the environment, this is what they were speaking to. There is a possibility, that a likelihood actually, that you will get reflectance off of the sensor itself. So you'll basically get a signal that is presented in the shape of the lens of the optics, but it's actually coming from the sensor itself. That's about all I can say on it, but
yeah,
it kind of made sense the way they described it. And I'm working on a barbecue with an IR sensor, so I'm running into black body issues.
A lot of different kind of IR sensors, and there are some things that would cause you to get some optical phenomena. I don't think it would be that sharp, but what they do is they put what's called anti-reflectance coatings on all the lenses, the cover. There's so basically the infrared sensor is sitting in a vacuum chamber, and they have to cool it down with liquid nitrogen to get it to the temperature it needs to be able to see in the infrared. So, but all the optics, I mean, yeah, if you tilted it at the right angle, I'm sure you could get some lights reflecting, but basically it's seeing a black body source. It's seeing some source of heat that would cause that triangle to form. It would be difficult for me to, well, I guess it depends on, again, like that image we looked at now, the graininess had to do with the fact that it was at nighttime more than anything else. What about that pyramid thing? Was that a nighttime image too? Do you know?
That was my understanding.
Yeah. Well, there could be.
But again, I don't know. I just know that I saw an interview, they were talking about it, and they said it was they didn't say debunked. They just said that it was, they determined that the cause was some kind of emissivity issue.
Gotcha. So do you think by any chance they Isn't that one that the government said that they authenticated that it was real video?
No, this was some other folks talking about it, but they were very,
No, I'm just
they
saying.
were
the
very
original-
pragmatic. They were very down to earth. It wasn't out there stuff. It was a very I should have. I'll look and see if I can find it, and I'll shoot it into the chat here. But
Cool.
anyways, it doesn't matter. I mean, this new one is quite interesting, but I was disappointed when I heard them talking matter-of-factly as that the government had acknowledged that it was emissivity, optics artifacts due to the camera's internal structure itself and the conditions.
Well, that's good if the government's debunking its own data. That's what we want. We don't want them to be releasing data to the public. And
That is a rare thing, isn't it?
yeah, no, it's a good sign.
Well, thanks for all the discussion today, fellas. I got to bounce.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much out of my bandwidth. How are you doing there, Mark? You about ready?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm going good. Just doing some stuff on the side, listening to what you guys are talking about. And Will is back here in
I've been
Northern
here the
Japan.
whole, I've been here the whole time, so.
You're a little spy, huh?
Anyway, I do have an interesting clip. I clipped the clip from, I think it's called Dark Side of the Moon.
Uh-huh.
It's a UFO site. Have you heard of it? Yeah, so something side of the moon. Anyway, I came across this interesting clip. It had many different videos sent in from the public to that site. And I'd like to show you the clip that I clipped
Cool.
from the clip,
Let's see the clip.
if that makes any sense.
Clip the clip.
Yes, so let me see here.
Let's see the clip.
Hey, can you see that?
Oh, yeah, we see the moon.
Okay, there's a moon, right? Okay. So this is quite an interesting clip. So
What are we looking at?
that was, well, that seemed to be a UFO shooting beams of light out the bottom.
It almost looks like something triangulating and attacking it.
Where
Looks
is
like
this?
it's attacking something else.
Like, look, you could see 3 different spots, like that's triangulating onto the object and like destroying it or something.
That's what it looks like. Does this look friendly, guys?
I don't know, but
It's probably ours.
that's how they show it in the cartoons. Whenever you see a flying saucer, you see those lights coming out of it. I've actually never seen a video showing that, that's really cool.
So now where was that UAP being videoed, and what did that have to do with the moon? I don't follow that.
No, the website is called Dark Side of the Moon, where
Oh,
they have lots of different UFO clips.
gotcha.
And one of them I happened to look at had a lot, it's much longer clip, but I clipped that clip to for this because I just thought
Yeah,
that was quite friendly.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. Well, they could have been sending love light rays down there. You don't know,
There you go. Yes.
right?
Or vaporizing somebody.
Well, or
Well,
they could have been. They actually could have been abducting them.
oh yeah. Next time you happen to meet
Consider that possibility.
next time you happen to meet one of these UFOs, just remember this video.
Yeah, I've seen lots of those, heard lots of stories about how this beam of light shone down, and then the next thing they knew, they were inside.
Those look like pretty heavy beams to me. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of like a Star Trek thing where they just disappear and appear on the ship.
yeah.
You meet up Scotty.
Well, that must have been a lot of people. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Thanks.
I think Billy Meyer was one of the first people to talk about that kind of technology, that he was beamed up on board the ship and he would just like disappear in one place and appear in another or something like
Yeah,
that.
they'd have to get some special extra heavy lifters for me.
There you go.
I'd get up there about halfway and well, guys, I think I'm gonna check out.
Yeah, me too.
I'm on KP tonight, and it's 5:30, which means I'm getting off early for this show. I've been on this till 7 a.m. a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah,
I've never been on
I
that.
think that's the longest one I've had, with 7 a.m. California time.
Oh, that was probably the same one I was on. We were talking at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, that was 3 a.m. your time, but that was 7 p.m. my time. And I started this at 3 a.m.
Oh my
my
God.
time. And we finished at 7 p.m. my time.
Yeah, that's the one where my wife asked me if this is what you geeks do on your Saturday.
Pretty much.
And now, and I said, yeah, and now she's like been very accepting. I didn't think Tim's wife is as accepting as mine.
Yeah.
In any case, I got to sign off. I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, hopefully, right?
Are you going to make it to Tesla Tech?
Where is it?
Albuquerque, New Mexico, April 11th through the 15th.
You mean, am I going to drive there? No, I don't think so. But I actually got relatives that live near there in Sandia, New Mexico.
So maybe make a road trip and see the Perseid meteor shower. I don't know what I'm more excited about, Perseid meteor shower or the or Tesla Tech.
Well, Tesla Tech sounds fun, but what is it? How many days is it? Did you post a link?
I posted a link to their what's it called again? To their flyer.
Okay.
You just go to teslatech.com.
Oh, I see it. It's this Tesla Tech event. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Got info.
Before I sign off, I'll make sure I get the link and I'll check that out. Okay.
There you go again. Yeah, everyone should check out the link, and hopefully you can make it there at least for the 13th, so we can get everyone together, have a big showing from APEC. Normally Tom Vallone has a conference alongside Tesla.
We follow one rule in space-time. It's never aliens.
Okay, what happened?
Every rule, and this rule is no exception.
Where's that coming from?
It's never.
Sorry about that, guys.
"45 years ago, a pair of craft inserted themselves into orbit around Mars. Each dropped landing craft, which
That was coming from me, sorry. You're muted. Yeah, that was coming from me. Yes, suddenly something started playing for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was me for sure.
It wasn't Japanese, so it wasn't for me, so.
Yeah, okay. I'll see you guys. Have a good
Yeah,
one.
I'll see you guys as well.
Okay,
So-
take care.
You guys have a good weekend.
Take care.
We have we have a STEM club coming down to the lab tomorrow. Bunch of kids are gonna build some ion craft.
Oh, that's good.
Who's alive right now? Sean. How's it going,
Yeah,
Sean?
that's about it. How's it going, dude?
It's going. Got
Excellent.
JT McFarland, Derek, and No Zone just joined us.
Right on.
Oh, yeah. And Dan Benhart was he like wanted to join and I couldn't click on it fast enough to let him in. And then he just ran off. I sent him an email, try to get him to try again. But yeah, he only gave me like 2 seconds to click on it, so couldn't get it. I don't know how to remove the waiting room. That would be cool if we can do that. Sean,
Yeah. What's up?
What do you think of that that experiencer dude who was talking all spiritual?
Oh, I missed out on that. I was off and on. I'm planting a garden at the moment, so I had to miss some of what you guys were watching. That was this one, right? Like this APEC meeting?
Yeah, this APEC.
Yeah. I missed some of it. I had to get a bunch of vegetables and stuff, and I got a couple fruit trees. So I was in the process of doing that, and I missed most of it this morning.
Oh, okay, no problem. What kind of fruit trees are you planting?
Just a couple what do you call it, elderberries right now, and I got dogwood, Japanese dogwood, which is like these little spiky berries that they kind of look like cherries, but they're spiky, and they go from green to red to purple. Like they change color through the season.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty much ripe when they're purple, and they're kind of a bittersweet though. You have to eat the inside. I was hoping to get some Arctic kiwis as well. I wanted to throw that up on this huge pergola I have in the backyard, but they ran out.
No worries. We're thinking of getting a mill, a CNC mill.
Oh yeah, not a wood mill. Oh
Yeah.
man, sell some wood, make some gold.
What do we need gold for?
Oh, we need money.
What do you need money for?
We need to buy stuff, material, and whatever we need to
We
build
need the
shit.
stuff.
Yeah,
We really don't
we
need
need
the
the
money.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. Money to get the stuff.
Well, money might become useless, in which case you need something else to get the stuff.
Well, maybe we might need the bandsaw to build our own houses then. Bandsaw mill.
Or maybe we could just like trade it for silver or Bitcoin or I don't know, maybe we'll pay for it in Dogecoin or stuff like that in the future. Like, yeah, I'd like to buy a Boeing 747. I'll be 300 Dogecoin. Like, who knows what's gonna happen now? Like with all this free money that they're printing, it's
Yeah, like where does it come from? I don't understand it.
It
Like,
comes from a computer at the Federal Reserve. They just print a whole bunch of zeros and just click enter.
that's ridiculous. That's just going to devalue our money and make us slaves.
Hey, this is JT. Sorry, dropped out of the APEC whenever Jeremy cut it off and just joined you guys a few minutes ago. Yeah, it's pretty interesting what they're doing. You know, we're at this point in American history where, you know, we like to think that we're the greatest nation that ever existed. We forget that we're only a few hundred years old, and we're at the point where it's like power's consolidating and corporate interests are selling out the public for offshore ventures and stuff. And, you know, my interpretation is they're intentionally devaluing the money because our debt is in fixed dollars and doesn't inflate along with our currency. So if they inflate the currency enough, they can say, well, we owe you $10 trillion. Well, here you go. Here's $10 trillion. And
Yeah,
it
it's a fraction of its worth. Yeah,
right.
I get it. Wow, that's incredible. I never even thought of that.
I mean, that's what they did. That's what the Germans did after World War One. And in many ways, the Treaty of Versailles and all the reparations that they forced Germany to pay, which were unpayable, led to World War II.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels we're seeing with like the Weimar German kind of experience.
Yeah, I think we're still like a year or two away from a full collapse, but we're getting there. We're getting pretty close. And my main concern, though, like if you want to talk about end of the world kind of shit, is a solar coronal mass ejection, like a Carrington level event hitting Earth. And that's something that can barely be predicted. Like we have so little information on the sun, and those things happen pretty fast. We'll have only a couple hours of warning. And yeah, there actually was one a couple of years ago in July 2012. There was a Carrington level event, but it didn't hit Earth. It missed us by a couple of days, by a couple of degrees. Like it shot off in a different direction. But we could have been living on a planet with 90% less population, because that's the kind of damage it would cause to humans. It's not going to hurt us directly, like immediately, but it'll knock out the entire grid. No internet, no GPS, no cell phone, no electricity. It'll knock that all out. And where's your food going to come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what it does. Forget what it does to the magnetosphere and the ionosphere. But
well, it's all temporary. Think about what it does to the power grid and to the
houses. Like a lot of people don't realize that the ground is the neutral is tied back into the ground, which turns the entire house into a giant antenna. And then all of a sudden you're getting hit with the EMP. It's just going to fry absolutely everything in your home.
It'll fry so many things. And even if it doesn't fry a computer,
it'll blow transformers and cause like a napalm type of effect going off. Fire everywhere.
Yeah, there'll be fires everywhere. The power grid will be out for a very long time. It'll be out for so long that they would have trouble like even refueling the trucks that are going to go out to fix it. Like it's going to cause problems on massive scales.
Didn't they say it would crystallize all the copper inside all the power lines, so they would all have to be replaced with like new copper? I think that was like something.
I've never heard of that, but I can tell you guys something. Okay, so there's an interesting scenario. When you lose power on a massive scale, you had this interesting scenario in which everybody that lost power had all of their devices still turned on and plugged in and powered up when the power went out. The breakers didn't trip. They just simply lost power. So when the power comes back on, effectively everything is on all at once. Now, normally you'd shut the light switch off when you leave the room, and that would be okay. But imagine that you had all the switches on and off, and you just kind of went from one room to the other trying to turn them all on to figure out where power was, and it was nowhere, and you left them all on. Well, you can't start the grid back up because everybody is turned on for everything, and the only way that you can reboot that grid is to get them to all shut their stuff off and disconnect the load from the grid. But since you can't tell every single person to do that, you can only start by booting up one tiny area of the grid at a time. Because if you try to turn the whole thing on, it dead shorts. And it just shuts itself back down again. So that's the real problem, is that if you lose power for too long and too big of an area, it's almost impossible to restart it. And
I met this one guy.
Weeks or months.
Yeah, I met this one guy who was visiting our high school from the FBI. And apparently he had something on his phone. I don't know if he just called a number or what it was, but he was like, yeah, I could turn off and on different sections of the electric grid, with my phone right now. And I'm sure that whoever's in charge of that would, in charge of the station would know, like, not to just flip the switch. They do rolling blackouts or whatever
Yeah,
bring
that's
it
not
back up.
actually a thing that exists. I used to work on power distribution for the grid, and nobody has an app that shuts off substations because, quite frankly, they're not connected to the internet in the way that you'd expect, and you can't go on to remote and turn on a breaker or shut one off. These are physically monstrous contactor switches that are operated by pneumatic systems and require minutes to prime. So you're not going to go on a cell phone, click a couple of buttons, and have one of those grid stations completely disconnect a breaker from power supply. That's just not a thing that actually happens.
Yeah, I think I tend to probably believe you more than I believed him. He was probably just trying to impress some high school students. But I wouldn't be surprised if, it was an incremental thing when they turned power back on. But, whether we'll get to the point where we'd have the opportunity to find out before there's like a World War III or full scale economic collapse or some other, virus outbreak or whatever first, who knows? Yellowstone's been scheduled to blow off for like 80,000 years overdue now. So who knows what's going to happen? One thing I found interesting, I was looking at houses recently, and you get all these people, like, where do I put my wealth, with all the inflation and everything going on, and CPI going up really fast, and so many people are putting it in real estate. Yet I was like watching all these videos about different companies that are starting to do 3D printed houses where you can essentially spray concrete into whatever shape you program into the machine and build 80% of the structure in like 24 hours. And think about that, what that's going to do to the housing market where so many people have their wealth stored.
Well, I don't think it'll do anything to the housing market because it's not going to affect the housing market. It's going to affect the construction market, perhaps. Construction workers may have their abilities affected, but quite frankly, the construction companies who have the ability to adapt most quickly and use the new machines
Jeremiah,
are doing very well.
1 second. Can I make you host for a second?
Unfortunately not. My net connection here is probably terrible, and I don't think I should host it.
How about Sean? Can I do that for you? Sean, are you there? Hello? Sean, can you hear me?
Seems like he's MIA. But yeah, I mean,
What's going on?
Oh, 1
go
second.
ahead.
No, because I need to be on a separate call. Sean, can I make you host for a second?
Sure, dude.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree it would change the dynamic of like labor and who's involved and such, but then you've also got the cost of goods, the cost of labor going down, supply going up, demand staying, maybe going up. More people would be able to buy into the market, but you just have a shift in the supply demand equilibrium.
It's going to get to the point where the most demand's really how are we going to live, right? Unless that becomes worthless to the people with all the money.
Yeah, it's kind of a paradox. It's like, I don't know, sometimes I ponder, like, if you're completely at bliss, what motivation do you have to accomplish or do anything? Like, if you're perfectly happy sitting in your chair meditating, what drive is there to get to Mars or like, accomplish really anything? They're human necessities, like you have to eat and drink water. But I mean, it's kind of a paradox. It's like,
Well,
do we seek more technology or do we seek how to be satisfied with less?
well, like I obviously you probably seen Star Trek, right? Where like for them in the future was all about bettering oneself, and because pretty much replicators gave them everything. If you wanted something big, just build a bigger replicator.
Right. And when you have immediate gratification, it ends up that nothing's gratifying anymore, right?
Mhm. Yeah, so like you could really just better oneself or like excel in something that you really want and desire. Like I think one of the best things about humans is that I'm sure everyone's heard this from Captain K, is that literally when we build something, we tend to want to make it better the next time instead of just keeping it the way it is. Like, it has to be better every time we build it. There has to be a newer, better thing next time. And I think that's a very amazing thing for us because like when we start going into space and shit, like I don't know if you've ever learned about processing metals and medicines and all that other shit in space. You could do a lot of things you can't on Earth because Earth separates heavier and lighter elements due to gravity. So like I think these new materials and these new things, if we do end up meeting other civilizations in space, we could create awesome stuff for them and keep making it better and better for trade, obviously, if that's a thing. But that could be an inspiration for the future to move somewhere because literally we're completely stagnant at the moment, in my opinion.
Stagnant as far as what?
Well, what can we do, right? Everyone who tries to do something gets their hand slapped. Like, oh, I want to, I want to build a flying saucer. You go try to build a flying saucer. All of a sudden, the goon squad comes along and fucking, oh, this is a hazardous to, the environment. Or take it away.
Well, I can guarantee you that they definitely are terrified of the things you need to make any of it happen. As my personal experience has clearly indicated now, multiple times, multiple labs shut down. And why? Because lab glass is apparently illegal. Oxygen tanks are an absolute no-no, and things that don't have labels on them could be potentially deadly. So let's all run away in fear.
Wow, I had no idea that oxygen tanks were in a.
Oh, you should imagine what they'll do to just a bag of dirt. A bag of dirt it could cost you a 55-gallon drum and a $500 disposal fee because it's not labeled. A bag of dirt.
Yeah, well, if you're trying to cross the border with it, that's for sure. I heard like on this one bean header that my boss bought back when I was working as an industrial farmer mechanic. They literally went over the entire thing looking for dirt so that they couldn't transmit dirt from United States to Canada because their dirt meant so much to the Americans. And it was like we couldn't figure out why. Like, it could be like disease, I'm sure, but I don't know. I get the idea, like how dirt can be that ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also kind of goes back to they don't want people stepping on their toes, whatever excuse they need to shut down a competitor,
Yeah. Well, in Canada, we have laws that you can sue someone for loss of profit, like a company, which is wild because that means like they could. Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
I can admit people. Hold on. Sorry, I was just admitting Mark back in.
No, you're good. Yeah, when it's another private company, it's one thing, but when it's like the military industrial, bedfellows, it's a little different.
Yeah, it's a whole different game. They strong arm you to what they want. Well,
I mean, I do understand the concern that, not everyone is altruistic, and a lot of people that watch Jeremy's show and, come in these chats, we all want better things for mankind, but there are certainly people that would take these technologies and ideas and use them for personal gain. And I think that's probably one of the concerns. And then, the other concern is that some of those people who want to use it for personal gain are the ones who choose what labs are open and not.
Well, isn't that what Jeremy found out was like Battelle was pretty much running all the institutions and what they can and cannot share.
Yeah, yeah, I think I remember hearing him say that on one of his feeds. And then it was funny because after that, I looked it up and I found out I live about 5 miles away from their headquarters.
Really?
Yeah, I'm in San Antonio.
So like the school you're talking?
I mean, I didn't look too deep into it. I just found out they had like maybe it's just a financial headquarters or something. I don't know, but they have a building over here near the medical center that just said, you know, it doesn't say it on the outside. I drove over there and looked at it and there was like no signs or anything.
Well, they're probably trying to keep it quiet, right? They don't want anyone driving in and being like, what the shit?
Yeah, it's just a big, you know, corporate looking kind of office building in the middle of the city. Just inconspicuous, hidden in plain sight.
Of course, that's how it goes. Yeah, best place to hide something is right in front of your nose.
So do y'all have like a reading list? I'm pretty new into this kind of circle of interest, and
well, we have a drive. We have a drive that has like 65 gigabytes of patents, papers, journals, video.
Oh, that's cool. How would I get access to that? Or
just type in your email right now and I'll add you.
Let me see how I do that.
Oh, it's a Google Drive too. So it have to be something that uses Google, like whatever you use to go on to YouTube or something like, or Gmail, right? It'll have to be one of those.
Yeah, I don't know how to type anything on Zoom.
Oh, okay. There's a little chat window thing kicking around. Did you find the chat window?
No, didn't find it.
If you go to more, there's like chat. You can click it, or Alt H will do it as well. The hotkeys. If you have Windows.
Okay, I'm on my iPhone right now, so let me see.
God.
It says I'm in safe driving mode because I must be moving so fast walking around my apartment. I don't know. My email is admissionomega@hotmail.com.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try and figure out how to type it, but
here, let me get I can't even send it to you. Shit. Okay, so just spell it up for me. ADMISSIONOMEGA. OMEGA.
Yeah.
And that Admission Omega?
Yeah, Admission Omega, right.
Yeah, and that's all one word? No dots or anything? Go at Hotmail.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, idea.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I'll send the invite immediately so you can add yourself, and that shit will fucking wake you up. If you actually, you know what, just email me because it'll be I'm the guy who made it. If you need any like tour through it, I can give you like a historical tour even now. Like I'm working on that right now.
I'd highly recommend going to Sean's personal tour, because if you want to hope to navigate that database, like it is his brainchild and it came of a number of years of great effort towards a common goal. So let him walk you through it, and if he does, you will be set to succeed.
Yeah, that sounds good. You mean just like reply to your email or whatever?
Yeah, because you have to add it, and it has to be Google. Like a Google account has to be utilize it. So like if you use that email for logging into YouTube, it'll be fine. But otherwise, you need like a Gmail. It kind of sucks that way. It's not like Windows Drive where you can just add anyone.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I have a Gmail I use for YouTube, so I guess I can sign up with that.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me that one then.
That one is getmejt@gmail.
Get me. Sorry, get me what?
Getmejt.
JT
Yeah.
at Gmail. No dots or nothing, right?
No.
Cool. All right, I'll send that to I'll send both of them. Oh, I need a both.
Yeah, my background's more in bio.
Yeah, there you go. I see it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My buddy's into that too. My buddy's in bio and AI right now. He went to Germany, United States, all everywhere.
Yeah, my professors were like, "Hey, if anyone wants to dual major, get your second degree in programming because you'll be very successful." And we were all
Yeah,
like,
cause,
"Oh,
yeah, because
gosh."
you're gonna be programming biotech soon, right? Like it's
Right.
that's what everything's moving towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was a bit much of a bridge for me to cross. I mean, I used to program in HTML like years ago, but
I know.
that's a little
I
different.
know. I feel yeah. I feel yeah. I tried to go from HTML to like Python. I was just like, holy shit, man! Like it's quite a waltz. C plus C and all these other languages, and it's wild. All right,
Yeah,
anyways.
so my knowledge of physics is like, 2 college classes, and that was about it. So I'll probably be able to understand, 30% of what I'm reading, but there's room to grow, I guess.
Yeah, I sent it to the Gmail one. You have the invite now. Yeah, you're also an editor, so don't delete anything. Just add what you want.
Yeah, no worries. I won't touch it.
Yeah. Well, you can add. I don't mind. That's cool. Just don't delete.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Adding's too cool. I like that. Not too many people add. That's why. Like Jeremiah, Jeremy, Nicola, Ramovsky, and a couple other people. Those are the only people who have added to it. Everyone else just takes from it.
Yeah, I mean, back when I was in college, it was a lot easier to add stuff because through the school I had access on the university's account to like pretty much any scientific journal. So I could get, just newly released articles from whatever journal that I wanted to. And
Can
I mean,
you
I guess
still have that access?
I can look. Sometimes I still do get emails from the school, but
Well, yeah, just ask them. Just be like, hey, can I have some access? I'm getting into like, unconventional propulsion type systems.
yeah, I mean, I graduated. Gosh, how long has it been?
Yeah,
5
Sci-Hub is
years
your
ago.
friend. Yeah, I think Mark
Absolutely. You
Mark
can almost
taught me about
anything on there.
Sci-Hub. That's great.
You can get Nature magazine articles on there. It's unbelievable.
I
the
know.
articles
It's
are out
amazing. Thanks, Mark.
On where?
On Sci-Hub.
Oh, okay.
There's some guy put. Oh yeah, I forgot. You can't see the chat. SCIHUB. Like if you punch it in a search, you'll find it. I'm sure. I can't remember if it's a .org or .net.
.se.
Sean, what were you thanking me
Yeah,
for?
they change their suffix all the time.
Sci-Hub, dude.
Trying to be
Sci-Hub.
shut down all the time. It's sort of
Got
like the Pirate Bay for science.
Got
stuff.
it. Okay, cool.
And also booksforyou.com. And if you go through that, you can find articles and you can bounce through. So what I do is like, if I'm looking for any article on like anyone that like, and I can't get into obviously AAIA, which is like, the aerospace, whatever journals. But anyways, they have them all on there. So like you can get everything. So like I got pretty much absolutely everything I can on Lake Mirabo right now. I'm finishing that up real soon. And I'm still picking out the Electrical Experimenters magazine, but I keep running into good stuff like how to liquefy ozone.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting some weird security certificate error for that site, so I'll have to check it out later with my VPN and stuff.
Oh yeah, wouldn't doubt it. I haven't been on Sci-Hub for a while, but Books for You is definitely a goodie.
Yeah,
Find
yeah, that's
ev-
the one I'm
abs-
talking about where I'm
Yeah,
getting some
yeah,
weirdness.
B -sign okay dot cc is a sublink to, I believe, a different cloud. You might be able to get it from there because I think it's a little less known. Mark, what do you think about Todd's presentation? I thought that was pretty wild.
Yeah, I think Todd is just putting together, the mathematics and the theory as to why these experiments would work. The funny thing is there's a lot of theory about why it would work. There's quite a few of them. And what I really like about Todd as a person is that his theories are never set in stone and he keeps on changing them, and he, works with the newest information that we come across. And I like that. I don't like people who are, put their flag in the sand and say, this is how it is. And then they,
Yeah,
it's
it's all written on a stone tablet. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, right on. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I thought something similar, but I was really impressed that like he's really trying to bridge the theory and the application. That's, to me, that's enticing. Like watching him go, okay, this is a theory. Now I'm going to build it and see if it works.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I'm building it too. He kind of predicts that the gigahertz is probably going to work better than the megahertz range, but again, megahertz is a lot easier to achieve than gigahertz.
Of course, yeah.
The EPR, electromagnetic resonance, is more effective, but I'm having trouble with the tuning chamber for the EPR machine, which is why I was futzing around with this little miter saw, trying to get it to cut metal properly. And I think it's just about set up to make a cut.
Yeah, like when you're cutting metal, generally you need lower RPM. Is that what you're doing? You're stepping.
No, not playing with the RPM. What I was just doing is changing out the plate. Instead of having that plastic one in the center, which is not level at all, I put in a piece of copper in there, so it gets it nice and tight, and leveled it out with a sander, so it was like perfectly level.
Yeah, yeah. You might have to lower the RPM so to cut metal better.
It's cutting fine. It has a metal cutting blade on now, specifically designed for aluminum and copper and brass.
Yeah, it's soft. Should be soft enough to just cut right through it. Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I am doing right now.
Cool.
What about you? What are you up to?
Oh, just I was actually looking up how to liquefy O3 through a process back in 1913.
Oh, you mean ozone?
Yeah, ozone. Yeah, liquefying ozone.
Oh,
I
I
thought
heard
it'd be. I was just thinking about it, using it as like a fuel source in order to create like a water fuel type propulsion system, or even like liquefied oxygen and liquefied helium and O3 kind of system, just for an extra boost and extra oomph. I was just trying to see if it'd be more efficient working it through that way or not, but I'm starting to look at it and it's pretty inefficient. Of course, it's 1913, right?
there is some sort of lead, some sort of oxide that has 3 oxygens on it that they use for the oxidizer in rocket fuels. I don't remember what the other atom is, but I remember it being 3 oxygens on it.
Well, there's many, yeah, there's many types of oxygenated glass you can make now with some of the patents that are out, and they're expired too. So you could pretty much make like a tabletop unit. I was telling Jeremiah about it, and I gave him the patent for it. like you could do like they were talking about like you could work it so that you could make like a uranium oxide glass even. Like you could use heavy elements like right from low to heavy. It's wild. And it's a lot like the metallic glass type of stuff, but it was able to somehow add oxidization to it. I can't remember exactly how it worked because it's been so long since I read the patent. But I thought that was pretty fascinating because then, yeah, because there's so much you can work with heavy metal glasses like dielectrics.
We're actually looking for a dielectric that is leaky. Do you know of any leaky dielectrics?
I'd have to look that up because I didn't really like, I never really thought to look for it, right? So if I
How
thought
well
to look for it,
calibrated? How well calibrated does it need to be? Like, can you just put a thinner layer, or is it something that you need to be able to like have variable voltage? Or?
So what we want to do is we want to trap voltage inside of a dielectric, but in order to get the voltage in there in the first place, you need to have the material needs to be like semi-permeable. So either a semiconductor dielectric material, or it can be a leaky dielectric material.
I think
So
leaky, like
semiconductive would probably be the best way to go.
Semiconductive, yeah. We're talking about like
okay,
like tera ohm per centimeter or something like that. Like it'll actually be a resistor, but very, very high resistance.
Mm-hmm. You might have to use more
I just missed the irrelevant part that we should be talking about. I just stepped back in. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about this for you, man.
I kind of figured this was the one that I was supposed to catch, but I keep on getting called off. That's why I couldn't really participate today. But this one is definitely like, okay, let's talk about this. So here I am. I'll try to stick around for at least the next 15 minutes and hear this out.
Yeah. So something simple and mechanical, like micro perforations and stuff that they're doing with some of these tubings, that wouldn't work. You need something that's chemically semiconductive.
Not semiconductive, conductive, but very, very high resistance.
So here's the catch. This is what we're looking for is a material with a very unique property. It's not technically a conductor. It's not technically an insulator. So here's the thing. The vacuum of space isn't really a conductor. It isn't really an insulator. It's just simply there. Depending on the forward velocity of an individual particle or a charged particle, it can either leap through an empty volume of space, or it can impact something and be blocked by another physical particle having charge or not having charge and being neutral. So all these things being said, basically, this material wouldn't necessarily be conductive in the conventional sense, where if you measured it across any given distance on this finest to the largest scale, it would be exactly the same for that given distance. Basically, on the microscopic scale, it becomes conductive, but on the macroscopic scale, it's resistive because electrons can tunnel through sections of it with no resistance whatsoever, but across the whole scope, they can't tunnel through the entire mass. They can only tunnel through tiny little sections at a time and make their leaps from A to B to C to D to E. So just imagine that the entire material is like a connection of trillions of little points from one side to the other in a long zigzag, but there's not actually a straight path through the entire material in any one spot.
And then you're talking about applying this to the nanoconductors, right?
Right. So what we want is we want to get a large amount of electric charge either onto or off of individual charge or individual metal particles or conductive particles inside this mixture. And we want to have those charges that are trapped on those metal particles be isolated from each other so that they can't basically share electrons and short out. Hey, there they are.
How about this?
That's one thing that we can't wait to test that uranium glass Mark is holding up there.
Yeah, I could actually test it right now and see what it does. What voltage should I take it to?
I think that your thickness there, you're about 1/8 of an inch. You could probably get a good 100 kVA across that. And if you crack it, worst case scenario, we'll just remelt it in the oven.
Yeah, Ron Keaton might know. That's a good point, Chambers.
Try it though, man. No one's and be careful that you might produce radiation while you're doing that.
Yeah, don't excite it too much.
But wouldn't it be crazy if it like starts to glow during discharge? See, what I want to see is not just what happens when you charge it with DC, but what happens when you charge it with DC and then discharge those two plates. You should get a pretty intense flash out of that plate. In the total darkness, that is. Looks like he's about to try it on video. All
right, so that's for uranium silica oxide, right? Not just uranium oxide.
Well, whatever Vaseline glass is, uranium containing glass.
Yeah, so it's just
uranium glass. I mean,
is uranium glass just a uranium with like inside a silica glass, or is it like uranium oxide?
I have no idea. It's the eBay special, the one that costs $15, I think.
It's whatever was popular in the 1920s and 30s. That's pretty much a regulated material now.
Yeah, I have to check that out again. I remember researching a bit about uranium glass because
either way, it was available.
Ken Wheeler's a big fan of it.
McCandlish's ARB supposedly. So if that thing was built, it was one of the materials that is green and was heavy and a dielectric that
well, he said blue, didn't he?
Later between plates, you know.
He said blue though, didn't he?
He said green, very, very green.
Green. Okay, well that makes sense. Wow, because then yeah, that'd be perfect. Because then if you have uranium oxide, uranium, and a silica glass, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. What does Brown say? You need a very physically heavy dielectric containing some other very heavy element. Well, I don't know if the last time you checked, but lead is pretty heavy. You know what's heavier than lead? Uranium.
And you know what? Uranium glass will have silica in it, making it a semiconductor.
Jeremiah.
Yo, what are we looking at?
We're looking at the exact material that we needed.
I kind of
Back
figured.
of your head. Well, we can only see the back of your head. You got to show us.
Okay, let me set it up again. This material is a very high resistant glass. It actually is not a dielectric.
Tell me it's leaking.
Yes!
Tell me it's leaking on the dielectric.
It is leaking. It is leaking. This is the
Booyah!
material we needed.
Hello. We got it. I knew we'd find this sucker, man. I called that.
Here, watch.
Okay, come on. You gotta give it. You gotta give it. I called this.
You did. This is the material. Look at that. I don't know if you can see the voltage, but when it was hanging around 35 kV, when I would touch it, it would go down. The voltage would change based on how close the electrode was, and it lost all its charge. There's no charge here.
Let's watch again. Let me watch again because I can see your screen now, and I'll let the world see this demonstration so we know.
Can you see the?
I can.
I can move the laptop a little closer. Let me set it up. Okay. Jeremiah, can you speak for a second? I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at that current meter. So here we are. We're about to power up a dielectric leakage test of some uranium glass, 1930s depression ware, also known as Vaseline glass. We'll go ahead and start the HV power supply. Power is now active. And as we can see, we have current draw coming off the high voltage wire going to ground. If Mark lifts the high voltage wire away from the ground point, we should see the current draw reduce.
I'm pinning Mark right now.
You see the you can watch the voltage changing. The current it's too close to zero to see anything, but you can see the voltage changing, and that's a clear sign.
What it would really be nice if you could do is take a piece of foil that, you know, or press something down onto the surface of that thing so it's nice and flat, then hot glue around it, just like you did with that dielectric disc test before the breakdown. And that way we can get some voltage across that glass and know that it's not ions leaking across the surface, but actually through the thickness. You would have to insulate it, but you're obviously set up to do it, and you've already done it with the last sample, so you know exactly what to do. I mean, if this stuff does create the leakage, then you just need a more sensitive scale, and you'll probably get propulsive forces right off the bat. I would expect you to be able to see them. Also, you should have a heavy material on one side for the leakage, so that your momentum for where your electrons end up and their center of balance across one side to the other ends up on the heavy side where you have some like lead plates. So I would use that flexible lead plate that you have in the box on the shelf behind you as one of your two plates for that material if you're going to do weight tests.
And it's saucer shaped.
Yeah, and I would use aluminum foil for the other side so that one side is a very lightweight electrode.
Put two of them and make a saucer out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. That's what we're saying. That's
I'm like flying saucers.
It says let's build it on the poster.
So my question at that point would be, doesn't this have to be applied to the nanowires and then, well, either before or after winding them?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
This isn't gonna help the experiment though, will it? Have an air gap?
I don't think it'll matter much in this case.
It might amplify it. Who knows?
I'm gonna get the lead. Gloves. Gloves first.
Get a recharge.
Watch these plates fly on camera, right? And then all of a sudden you can't get a single piece of depression glass for on eBay anymore.
Wow, this is amazing. We're talking about getting the right material. Finding
Yeah, the truth is that even if we talk about why this material works, nobody has a clue exactly what it is about what we're seeing that makes it so special still. And that's the funny irony about it, is that still I have a clue people would not know at all what we're talking about because we haven't clarified ourselves at all. We really haven't done our due diligence to explain ourselves yet. This is new. And we are still figuring it out as much as everyone else.
This might be the glass that was in the ARV.
And I have to give the credit to the person who first initiated that train of thought. But I probably shouldn't put his name out there publicly, which is the only reason why I'm not saying it yet. But yes, I will say that it was not me who had originally thought of that idea. It was in fact somebody else, and I will get his permission before putting his quietly collected name out there.
Okay.
I will say the man's an absolute genius.
I'm just cleaning up over here so I can build it. Okay. Already got some lead. Oh yeah. I use the thicker one or the thinner one?
The thinner one could still be more than thick enough to create that difference in weight. But T.T. Brown said he used 44-pound lead balls, right? So I guess if you got the thicker one already, whatever, it shouldn't matter to have more weight on one side.
Is it going to help?
Well, he said it did. Apparently the mass matters.
No,
I don't understand how it would help. From my calculations and the way that I see the model, this is a surface effect that has to do with the mass of the surface, but that's just my personal model. I may not have the correct model.
I'll use the thinner stuff. Actually, I think he said it was the mass of the dielectric, but the thicker stuff's probably gonna be harder to work with anyways. We can use that for shielding.
I wonder,
Either way, you shouldn't have to have a 4-inch round lead disc, right? I mean, that'll be useful for other experiments, even if you cut it.
could you guys sputter metal on top of that glass, right? Like gold or something?
That's what our lab in Canada is working on. Wayne just got a deposition sputtering machine.
Oh, nice. I know you can make rig shift one, but
Yeah, he's going to be trying to sputter.
It's covered in lead.
put a mask on if that's the case, man. Don't breathe that shit in.
It's done under one of the highest vacuums you're realistically going to be able to achieve, so nothing escapes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I was just worried. You know me, mother hen.
Only once we have Bob Gringer's Evos could we dream of doing this at room temperature and pressure.
Fascinating.
Okay, I think I cut it with just a regular blade, utility blade. Should be able to, right?
What are we cutting? Oh, lead? Sure, why not?
We're cutting lead.
That stuff is soft as soft can be. You can cut it with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, it's pretty soft stuff. Yeah, pure glasses. Okay, so we're putting lead on one side, aluminum foil on the other.
Indeed, indeed. And then you'll have to flip your polarity if nothing. I would expect you not to be able to measure this visibly on a scale with a display, but on a balanced scale, you might be able to see the difference. The balance scale was the big difference between noticing the carnauba and rosin mixture and not noticing it at all. I did take that same sample. I stuck it on my 0.001 gram scale, attempted to measure it, and very quickly noticed that the scale would indicate a small change and quickly null back to 0. And so this is not something that we've seen on the balance scale. It appears that the acceleration doesn't measure correctly on the digital scale, and I'm not sure if it's a local effect or what. But it's like you have to have the scale arm there. I actually think that the sample is exerting a force on the scale arm and that it's not necessarily getting lighter itself, which may explain why the measurements previously were incorrect.
Okay. Finish up this cut. Oh, this stuff is like, it's like metal butter.
I don't know. I have a setting on my balance where it's like noise cancellation or something. I think mine's only got like low, medium, or high, but you know, it kind of continuously reanalyzes the zero or the tare weight.
That's absolutely horrible. What kind of balance do you have so that I can know to never buy that brand?
Let me see. It's A&D. I mean, mine's not.
Digital scales have been like the biggest thorn on our sides ever. I don't know if there is such a thing as a quality digital scale these days.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most of them have this feature that some of them allow you to kind of turn it up or down, but mine's, you know, it's magnetic balance. But it was only like, you know, less than $1,000, so it's not high end or anything.
Yeah, a good scientific scale will be able to hold a calibration and be referenced to a master standard. It will never compensate for its zero. It will, however, tell you what the drift that its zero has undergone is. So, but of course, we don't have one of those yet. We're working on it. It would be pointless for me to get a super high-end scientific scale, actually, because I'm on the 3rd floor of a building and I would never be able to use it. It would just indicate the vibrations from downstairs. It looks beautiful, Mark. I can't wait to see it powered up at 120,000 volts.
Should I hot that on, or we're just?
It's mainly the insulation of the high voltage electrode. If we can just get non-leakage, so we don't have sparks running across the surface, that's going to be the trickiest part. But other than that, yeah.
I'll just put a piece of one of the copper discs over here.
Actually, you might want to, let's see, you might want to put the dielectric underneath. You might want the lead on the top side, have that thing between it, and have the smaller electrode on the inside.
Okay. Well, the problem is that if the high voltage is on top, oh, then I'll have to lift it up. Okay.
Man, I can't believe I'm looking at this.
That will also put your lead electrode as the large, heavy electrode and the positive electrode on the top, which is ideally what you'd want since we're trying to do a brown replication here with some original, like super old school materials that actually leak.
How's that look?
It looks like I'm hopeful for electron accelerations, but that copper disc is probably going to be not ideal for your low mass.
Well, unless it's the bottom, isn't it?
Is that?
Is that the bottom? Is that the negative electrode? Where's the negative electrode? Because they claim that they have to.
Where do you want to put the negative?
I see. You know what? Just run it like that. That's totally fine.
And
if
a bigger
thrust in the wrong direction, who cares?
1 second. We're measuring thrust.
Well, ideally, we could try to start by measuring leakage, and we want to start by measuring leakage. But if we get leakage, then we're going to go to measuring thrust because that's a good sign. That power that we're leaking, if it's not,
are we looking for sideways thrust or vertical weight loss?
I would expect it to be towards the large electrode if it was positive based on TT Brown's stuff. If this works the way he says,
well, yeah, because he claimed that the positive electrode had to be bigger than the negative, and negative had to be small in comparison.
So the negative would be on top. Positive on the bottom.
No, positive will be on top.
And thrust downwards in that case, theoretically.
Yeah. Thrust will be downwards.
Or you could just consider that the upside down bottom of your craft. You know?
That's how you'd want to do it.
Yeah, like that.
Okay. Perfect.
There we go. Yeah. I hope this leaks. I hope this leaks and then it doesn't arc. That will be really, really wonderful. I'll be back in just a minute. Well, you go ahead and set that up, but this is very exciting. You might want to shut the lights out when you do this too. Even if everyone can't see, that's okay as long as you can tell us if it glows.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Plastic or something. Set it on.
Oh, that's wild. And 1921. They were already thinking about flying spheres flying through space. That is fucking crazy. God, I find fucking new shit out every day.
Ah, this lead is so easy. It's so much fun to play with this. Lead, by the way. Like, it literally feels like metallic butter.
Have you played with gallium yet?
Oh yeah, we got gallium.
Oh, right on.
Gallium is pretty brittle until it melts and then just becomes straight solid.
Well, actually, a lot of people don't realize, like, if you make a gallium alloy out of nickel and titanium and like pretty much nitinol, right? But with gallium mixed in with it, you can use magnetics to shape the alloy. And if you rotated it in and out of a magnetic field, in the magnetic field, it'd get hot, but out of the magnetic field, like if you were able to get real hot, it'd be able to get down to like 0 Kelvin.
We're talking about using magnetocaloric cooling, right?
Yeah. And it's the best. It is the best mixture right now. And the fact that it has its own like ferromagnetic shaping alloy, you can literally shape it inside a toroid and spin it, which would be wild because then you could have like, I don't know if it like being able to hit 0 Kelvin, it might even hit a condensate moment. Like, who knows? I'm kind of excited to see what would happen.
I think I'm using this disc instead. No, I'll use the smaller one. This one's...
Well, I'll pin you on the screen because I think Tim's still recording.
Yep, he is still recording. Okay, now
Yeah, so I'll pin you on the screen. Hold on, let me go.
I'm gonna move that camera around a little bit, get a better angle.
Yeah, sorry, Glenn. There's not a specific experiment I can link you to. I was referring loosely to how I control gravitation, in which he uses two 44-pound balls and a several-foot-long glass rod between them. In this case, we're using a plate of lead, and we're using a glass plate between the plate of lead and a lighter-weight dielectric. So we sort of combined how I control gravitation with his later works, and we were
Jeremiah,
testing.
this is T.T. Brown Gravitator. He was using lead glass.
Yeah, exactly. This is the one thing we've never tested that we knew that we should be testing, and we're finally doing it. Finally doing it.
Fucking uranium glass. Yes.
Doing it publicly of all things. I don't know if this is a good idea to do it publicly, especially if it works. But hey, then everybody has it.
Could you imagine if you guys like did kind of like what? Oh fuck! How could I forget his name right now? I wanted to get stock in his company, but he didn't have stock.
Yeah, he doesn't have a public trading.
Yeah, but could you imagine if he had like lead glass and fucking uranium glass and like touch the plates together and then fucking separate it that way with the electrodes? What would happen then?
Well, I'm sure that he's not using that, but I do know that the material that he has between his plates is proprietary and his big secret, or one of them anyways. So
imagine we stumbled on it.
There is some material between quote unquote plates as we would think of them conventionally. We still don't know what's inside his magic little black cylinder.
Oh goddamn amount of weed.
I don't think that's what's in there.
No. But I'm Canadian, it's legal and I love it.
I'm American, it's not legal. I also
You hate it.
Yeah, I do the opposite of hate it. I do the very opposite of hate it. In all of its forms.
No, I meant you hate the fact that it's illegal.
Oh, that way, yeah. I can't technically say that I partake. Yeah. But I can't say that if I did, I would do it responsibly.
Really? Not me.
Yeah, no one said he would actually see me do that. That's just what I would say I would do, you know.
Yeah, everybody always assumes they'll use things responsibly until they've been hooked.
So you've gone too far.
Yeah, I've been down that road with opiates.
Yeah, they'll get you, man. Opiates are some dangerous stuff right there. They'll take over your mind.
Yeah, I was
Reminder.
prescribed to Oxycontin and then I was prescribed to fentanyl. I died taking fentanyl. Fucking had to resuscitate myself.
I hear you, man. Honestly, those things scare me. It's one of those things where even if offered it, I wouldn't try it ever once. I've never.
I call it,
do.
dude, I literally call it living to die. Like you literally are living to die. You have to have it or you feel like you're so sick you're in bed dying.
That's horrible.
It is absolutely horrible. And I could not understand why anyone would want to do it, and that's why I quit. And never did it again. I haven't even picked up Tylenol just because I just don't want it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now look what you're doing, man. You're running a massive database. You're feeding information to people that are going to effectively write the future for this engineering.
Yeah, smoking pot, drinking beer. I can handle that. That's no problem.
Serving them and serving the human race.
Yeah.
That's definitely something we can all get behind.
Mm-hmm. And I'll keep doing it.
Well, it looks like we're getting pretty close to ready here.
Yeah, we are. Marky, what's going on?
I'm ready to charge it up. Jeremiah, you like my my take on the magic wand?
Yeah, I just want to see it make that thing fly.
It looks like a bazooka. What the fuck?
The question is, can you levitate a plate? All right, silence. Here we go. Will we get the leakage we need?
Magic staff.
No.
Yeah. Fucking Jeremiah's.
I'm smelling lots of ozone. Yeah, there's a lot of ozone coming off this thing.
Getting the leakage down at the edges of that top disc is going to be something. That's going to be quite the trick.
We might need liquid oxygen to get the excitation that we need.
Actually, they were saying if you get the glass hot, it's supposed to work better.
Really?
Yeah, the more the hotter you get, the more likely to be to open up some gaps for electrons to accelerate and open up those holes.
Well, could you guys throw a little more current through it and a little less voltage?
Unfortunately, you can't exactly control the resistance. If you could, then you would be able to turn the current up and turn the voltage down, but we're limited to the actual dielectric leakage. So the only way we can get more current is to give it more voltage.
Okay.
And the amount of voltage we need to get any current is insanely high. Like we begin to just barely see the 30, 40.
Milliamp. A tenth of a milliamp at like 30,000 volts.
So wasn't that one guy talking
That's
about
small,
like,
yeah, that's almost nothing. So you're going to have to go up to like the 100 kV range to start to get into like the microamps leakage there, or the milliamps leakage. You'll never, your insulation will probably not be able to withstand it on the outside.
A quarter of a milliamp.
That's good. That's good. I hope that's through and not around.
I'm smelling a lot of ozone though.
And it's probably around.
Ozone's fine.
Through. Yeah, but ozone means that he's getting the leakage not where he wants it. We want the leakage to the material itself. If he smells it, that means it's ionizing air, and those are losses. Yeah, it turns out that insulating something to not produce ions at 120,000 volts is like virtually impossible. It takes about a stick of hot glue to do it.
Do you remember that one time I was telling you about like how they had like a really low voltage, high amperage system, like where it was like 1 hertz, and like it was able to create levitation with the excitation of just like a little bit of HHO invited into the system?
You're talking about the thing, there's like a picture that has a water tank with 2 zigzaggy wires in it, right?
No, that's a different one, but that's pretty much getting on the same type of concept.
No, this is not. I don't think this is from ion leakage. I think this is going through the plate, actually.
I really hope so. You should be able to detect if you let it leak for long enough. You'll notice a slight temperature change, and that's how you'll know it's going through the plate.
Maybe you should wear a mask just in case, like the uranium starts,
Oh, he's not freeing it.
He's
not freeing it at all. He might be producing beta particle emission at an increased rate at the most, but he's certainly not like releasing uranium from the glass itself.
Well, wouldn't he give off a little bit of gamma rays?
Like I said, yeah, he may be producing beta particles, but that's about it.
No, well, won't he get gamma rays if he has ions in the vicinity?
We're at half a milliamp.
Oh, yeah, but nothing more than normal ionization.
Oh, yeah, I guess a safe amount, right?
Guys, went up to half a milliamp, and I think it was around 30,000 volts.
That's very good. Can we see if we can get more? I mean, it would be wonderful to see if we can start to get to the point where it's just.
I bet you JT's taking a tour through the drive right now.
He'll be busy for a while.
Yeah, I built myself a little rabbit hole. I called the build
Oh
it,
wow,
build your
look
own
at
rabbit
that.
hole.
That's really good. Look at that leakage.
What's go? Whoa, what dropped? What's
Oh
going
yeah,
on?
he just hit a really decent amount of
Yeah,
leakage.
go
man.
back. Can you dial it back a bit?
Is it
See if
warm?
you can again.
Let me go check if it's warm.
All right.
Okay. No charge on it.
If it is leaking, it should discharge itself really fast.
Yeah, it did. There was nothing. There was no charge on it.
Is it
whatsoever.
warm?
Not really.
Oh, so maybe you have to form a form of inductance to it. A little more
What if I
current.
flip it over and charge the small plate?
Yeah, try it. Try it.
This is good though. This looks like a good sign. I believe it may be doing the thing that it needs to do. See, if you're getting electron accelerations through that material, and they're arriving at one side or they're hitting something at a higher velocity than they left at, then you should be getting that effect.
And I think that's what the base of the ARV is.
Yep, that is what we were speculating, and we're gonna build the whole size thing and see. But first, we've got to get that in plate material.
Yeah, what about that guy?
Almost impossible to find.
What about that one guy who machined part of the ARV? Do you think we could utilize his parts?
Not at all.
Okay, he was just making up a model.
Yeah, he was playing around with it. He just sort of made a wedged capacitor. He didn't really bother with worrying about what it was made of.
Oh, details are important.
Shooting
They
off
are.
the side, actually.
Okay, I'm watching again. Come up to some voltage. I seen something flash, Mark.
Yeah, it's flashing over the sides of the plate.
Oh, good. Okay, that's not destructive breakdown quite yet then.
Here's his spark. Nope. No.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to.
I think you're gonna have to do way faster impulse discharges. Is there any way of doing that? Like cracking it, like.
Oh yeah, he
pulsing it?
definitely he can, but first he's got to figure out where the leakage is actually taking place. We shouldn't have that breakdown occurring where it is. It's not like helpful for our propulsion research.
Why not? Wouldn't it be a
it's
lower
just
amount of
waste
energy?
It's on the wrong axis. That's why, because the directional.
Turn the
vector-
light off. I guess you can't. I was gonna say, like, see if it's glowing.
What we're trying to do is trying to see if there's current traveling through the glass.
Mhm.
I will tell you a little trick, Mark. When I tested some pieces of glass with a very high voltage DC on them, and I added just a little bit of AC, the glass started to glow blue. And I noticed that if I looked very closely, it was glowing because tiny little lines of blue were showing up inside of it from one spot to the other at different angles.
Yeah, let's get
So
that
it was like you
red.
could actually see these little beam paths of straight directional accelerated electrons. It was really wild. And then it would just crackle. Of course, this does damage the glass. I could only do this for like maybe 30 minutes before I had put so many trillions of little microfractures in it that it just shattered and fell apart. But very interesting.
I'm doing a smaller plate on the bottom so that it would have a longer travel.
Good idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Now we'll be getting just the glass. Okay. Wand is hot. Powering up. The crackling sound is different.
If shit don't work out right, try for reversing the polarity. Like, let's see if it takes off. Because who knows? Maybe shit was written down backwards so no one could figure it out.
Is this thing sitting on top of the power supply and the ground, the metal of the power supply acting as a ground for this thing too?
No, there's an external ground coming from the side.
I see that. I see that.
To answer your
But still-
question, yes, the case is acting as a ground, but the case is also additionally safety grounded. But he is using the case as one electrode right now, yeah.
But the case is going to act as a secondary ground, which is going to change your the way the electric field is going to be generated around this thing. You really need it sitting on something that's not metal.
Oh, it's sitting on on these plastic poles.
Yeah, to look
I
for
know
forces,
that.
we would. We're just looking for leakage
Yeah,
right now.
but what he's saying
That's
though,
all.
that it can't be paramagnetic or magnetic. He probably thinks like you're saying, like it needs to be sent on a dielectric.
He
Yeah,
means the electric field to be screwed up by the fact that that metal is down there, which is
sitting
okay
on,
because we're just looking for leakage currents yet. We're not actually looking for a whole encompassed electric field.
It's
to,
sitting on these plastic bowls.
No, I know, but he's right. Anything that's metallic around for several feet is going to affect the geometry of the high voltage fields around that thing. So technically, in space, there's nothing around it, right? And you
Especially
design it
since
to
it's
operate with
sitting on
absolutely nothing
coils.
around it.
The coils from that unit could be affecting it as well.
But for leakage, we don't care about any of that. Right now, it's perfectly
Sure
a
enough.
suitable test.
Well, maybe.
It has a different sort of crackle to it in this configuration. It almost sounds like going through the glass. I see some sparks that terminate on points in the glass. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really.
Can you flip it from A? Can you flip it to AC real quick? And back? Like flick it to an AC unit in the back on that thing?
Oh, you mean like turn it on and off?
Yeah, turn to AC and then turn to DC kind of.
Oh,
Yeah,
there is no
how
AC.
Jeremiah was explaining it.
Oh, there is no AC on this thing. This is a DC power.
Okay. All right.
I guess we could hook up a Tesla coil. But a Tesla coil, the one I have is probably over 150. It's probably way too much power. Yeah. I think the lowest it can go is around probably 70 kV. That big Tesla coil. Jeremiah, you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, sorry, I know what you're talking about. We never did fix that, I don't think yet.
No, it wasn't really necessary for the experiments, but yeah, this lead glass seems to be interesting material to try out.
We've got to get that local shop to see if they can melt those plates down or how we can turn them into actual plate glass ourselves. In fact, if we wanted to do it ARV style, we need to cut all of our plates ahead of time and melt them in. But right now, we just need one single wedge with that material in it.
But you guys need bismuth, don't you?
We do need a bismuth plating, and that's what Wayne's working on to see if he can do a deposition nano layer of bismuth.
You mean like sputtering it on?
Right, sputtering it on, exactly.
Okay, good. That's perfect. I believe that's the way to do it. And I believe, like, if you could somehow discharge it to that.
Well, exactly. If you think about it,
so if it was like a
ARV
negative ion, so you get negative charge the plate, and then positive ions, positive charge for like the sputtering effect. If you could somehow make that work.
Oh, Derek wrote that he collects old glass insulators.
I have a bunch of them too.
Okay. Well, for this experiment, we're gonna need just quantity. So, any big broken piece of glass, or what is it? Uranium glass, we can use to take it to the glass shop and have them make us sheets.
You have a few things of lead glass. That's about it.
Yeah. Oh, lead glass. Yeah. We have
Like, well, crystal, I guess. Yeah, pretty much melt it down, make glass.
Is the sputtering supposed to be better than like electroplating as far as consistency?
Well, sputtering they've done like on giant telescopes, like that one telescope that was it Weber or Webster telescope. I believe they sputtered the entire mirrors on it with gold, and they're able to nano layer it that way if they wanted to. There's many different types of doing it. Like you could sit there and literally put a huge layer on it if you sat there for days, but who'd want that? Like
the difference is that sputtering doesn't require the material that you're plating to be electrically conductive. You can sputter plastics, cardboard, insects, your hand if you could put it in a vacuum, but you can't. So anyways, yeah, you can sputter anything. Whereas with electroplating, you'll have to start out with something that's not only electrically conductive, but it also has to be electrically capable of accepting the material that you're plating with. And so sputtering just opens the doorway to plate almost anything in almost anything else that's conductive.
Which is great.
And so if you read the Linda Moulton Howe reports that she talks about the supposed reports of this collected material, having very thin layers of bismuth and other nano layers. And so what we know from the patents about bismuth is that if you make it thin enough into nano thick wires or nano layered films, that it exhibits superconductive like properties, because it turns out that bismuth alone has extraordinarily high electron drift velocity. It's just that bismuth tends to form a crystal. So as a crystalline lattice, if you let bismuth crystallize into a large contiguous block, right, it'll actually break itself up into domains. And so electrons can't take their high drift velocity and keep going in the same direction. They have to change directions. And that's what gives bismuth its high resistance properties. But if you make it thin enough, all those domains disappear. So you have one continuous plane, and it starts to act a lot more like graphene. Little known fact about bismuth.
Where'd you learn that, Jeremiah? Because I've been looking around, I couldn't find that.
There's a patent that talks about how to do it. Actually, Hector Serrano was the one that pointed it out at APEC a while back, and he was trying to get anybody else to pay attention, but nobody was listening.
Yeah, that's the thing about APEC. There's these little gems every once in a while. It's like mining for diamonds.
Well, I can tell you when Hector talks, y'all should definitely listen.
They're all around you, but you can't see it.
There
Well, that kind
are
of
some
makes
people that come
sense.
on here that everyone needs to listen to, and they're like chronically ignored.
I think that kind of makes sense with the Linda Moulton Howe sample, because they had really thin layers of bismuth there that were probably vapor depositioned onto it.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, it'd be
It
fascinating.
would be convenient to do it in space, you know, where you already have a perfect vacuum or damn
Well,
close to it.
well, and did you ever see any of David Adair's stuff on how they cast metal in the weight system of space, free from casting of molten metals? He talked about creating like a 6-dimensional speaker grid and being able to create like a standing sound wave inside and make a 3D object with a perfectly 100% molecular blend of opposite metal spectrums.
Anyways, I want to ask a simple question for, you know, for food for thought here. So if you know what a Bloomian line is, or ever heard of it, for those who don't, it's basically a capacitor which is designed to discharge as fast as possible. Most capacitors, they have 2 terminals and you put some power into them and they store it and then you discharge them through those 2 terminals. The Bloomian line, the physical shape of the capacitor is as important as the amount of energy it stores, because it's basically just 2 flat plates that are totally parallel to each other with a very thin dielectric between them. And then they're arranged in a long way. So you start the discharge at one side, the electrons discharge there first, and then they build up momentum all the way towards the other side. And by the time the electron momentum finally hits the far side of this discharged capacitor, that momentum vector is so high and it has nowhere else to go that it basically water hammers, or does the effective thing of a water hammer where you have water flowing down a pipe and you suddenly stop it. Well, that's what it does to the charge at the end. So you get a voltage spike in like potentially the megavolts per meter. And this is how transverse electric mode lasers are able to ionize nitrogen in the air and produce laser beam with just atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, long story short, we have a Bloomian line, which is a fast discharge capacitor that carries electron momentum very well. The only limit to it is that copper is a crappy electron carrier, being that it has a low electron drift velocity. So if we combine the high speed of a Bloomian discharge line with the high speed electron drift of a material like bismuth or graphene, now we not only have the ability to have a very high electron drift velocity and a maximum current, but even a high physical electron momentum because the particles are traveling quickly. And that means that we have a massive Todd Desiato jerk.
Wow.
A massive jerk. That kick is going to be tremendous because of the velocity of the electrons compared to what it would be with copper. But nobody's ever put together a Bloomian line using some super high speed, high electron drift materials. And there's only really the 2 major ones that we know of. Theoretically, gold can do it too. Gold nanolayer can also exhibit this property.
That's what I think would probably be the best to do with. Probably, and the best way you can make gold would probably be with water, right? Through low energy nuclear reaction. So that
Best perhaps, most efficient maybe, but most practical definitely not.
No, well, not at the moment.
You're better off buying a little piece of gold and just deposition plating it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're better off sifting for it and getting the gold and sputtering it onto the surface of the craft itself and then using it as a fuel. Remember how I told you about the eggs?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, I would love to have that technology. In fact, wouldn't we all?
Yeah, just just use the water as a plasma and sputter it onto the surface of the craft and then use it as fucking colloidal gold in order to have fucking negative mass material, negative energy material, and
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and store this gold right here on the outside of the ship.
use cavitation to make gold. I think that'd be smart though, like, because remember I was telling you I was talking to Bob Greener about how cavitation was created by waterways through gold was created in waterways through cavitation. And I was explaining to you, this must be why when because he explained how cavitation can make us sick, that when water bends one way, it can make you sick, but when it bends the other way, it can heal you. Right. And I think that's where it makes you sick, or when the water bends left down a waterway, it will produce gold, but when it comes down right, it's not producing cavitation, so it produces perfect flow.
Unfortunately, I don't know enough about Schonberg's understanding to possibly of that. I wouldn't doubt him, but I also couldn't even slightly understand why it might do that.
But when I explained to Greener about it, right, and he was just like, yeah, obviously cavitation is being created at this process, and like, it's creating gold in the waterways. And I think that to me that'd be the best explanation. And that could be, an awesome place to set up a gold sleuth on the left bend. Just get out of the water and let it collect some gold.
Well, I don't think we're very far away actually from seeing these technologies become developed. I mean, look at what we have now. You can stick a piece of aluminum foil under correct conditions in an ultrasonic bath and convert it to iron and a variety of other transmuted particles in your kitchen or bathroom. So that's a thing now that didn't exist like 2 months ago. So what else are we going to be able to do in the next year that seemingly was impossible last year?
I know, nothing's impossible now.
No, when you can transmute elements in your bathroom, it really is sort of becoming ridiculous to say anything's impossible.
And I think that's probably like, man, we could be so great right now with the possibilities we have with what we have. And for this fucking virus to come now, it's just a kick in the nuts.
I would say it's exactly what we needed.
Well, I don't know.
As far as society having to get together, get on the internet, everyone that didn't have a computer or didn't have the ability to do, video conferencing now pretty much has it, right? It forced people to get wise with the times, and that's connected us all in the most tremendous of ways.
Well, look at us right now, but who did it for what reasons? That's the only problem. Yeah.
I appreciate the societal change for what it is, and I don't assess the terrible things that have happened because I don't support it. I don't support obviously the virus. There's no standing behind it. Just I'm recognizing the fact that it existing has brought us together. So
of course, yeah. And I agree 100%. Like if it wasn't for this virus, I probably would have never needed to try to fit. Like I'm still mapping out exactly how to make a school.
If my entire industry didn't,
residential
I would have never had all that time to basically concentrate on this full time.
Yeah, I'm still mapping out how I'm gonna make a band sawmill, how I'm supposed to do log cabins, how I'm supposed to get it, like how I'm supposed to get the residential area going down, how I'm supposed to get the school going down. Like fuck, I wish my dad was alive because he was a civil engineer and he got his master's in it, and I would have fucking known exactly what to do. Kind of sucks. Never thought to ever ask him for knowledge when I was a kid. I was just fucking dickhead, fucking hooked on drugs.
Yeah, man, that does suck to look back at it, and know that it was there.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, like he knew so much. It was
the one way I could say I definitely got lucky. I got to give my dad credit for basically giving me access to his tools and showing me the lessons of how not to cut off my fingers and pretty much then stepping away.
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it is. It is really, for all the horrible things that he put me through as an old school, like tyrant kind of guy. Also, he's given me the hard life lessons to actually survive an industry that's probably one of the most judgmental and hard to convince people industries that exist, or at least it used to be. Used to be, anyways. That's all changing now because this stuff is actually being accepted by the mainstream.
I say Space Force is the reason for it, but yeah, definitely accepted now.
It certainly helps. People are listening for the first time ever, even if they're vehemently opposed to it. They're at least considering it.
Oh, I see Pinky in the brain.
Pinky's taking it all in.
Right on. My dog Layla's out here too, groaning. I don't want to listen to this shit.
Hey, to throw my 2 cents in here, I think this stuff got all started in the mainstream when NASA decided to do that 60-year mission, I guess outside the galaxy at 1/10 of the speed of light. I think that was around 2015. And since that's when they allowed Woodward to actually be part of their NIAC program, is because they were looking for
They let Woodward do that?
Huh?
They let Woodward do that?
That's the reason why Woodward, well, this is my opinion, but in my opinion, that's why Woodward got a NIAC was because NASA has this 65-year out program. I think it's really out, I think it's out to 2065 is when they want to have this mission to reach the 1/10 of the speed of light to go towards the next galaxy or something. And that's when people started listening to some of this stuff because NASA was listening to some of this stuff.
Yeah, well, I believe that, like, from the elements and nuclear decay rates and stuff that we have on this planet, I believe we can reach at least 300 times the speed of light through oscillation, but that's just opinion.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, yeah, of course, me too. Me too.
But
Matt says, but what would really happen?
Speaking of Woodward, you guys, I'm sure will recognize, an assembly like this. So Todd put this thing together, just sent it over for testing. I just finished polishing it all up. So we have the Steiner Martin's stack. The way you put it together is super, super nice. And so this makes Woodward's little test apparatus look like a tinker's toy because this thing is massive. It weighs 1,400 grams compared to the tiny little unit that Woodward has. These are also 2-inch discs compared to the 3/4 inch wide discs that he's using. So if this thing does kick, we're looking at significantly more forces. Plus, the way that it's designed is a little different than Woodward's. I won't say how Todd designed it yet because that's sort of his information, but I'm going to test it the way that he set it up. It allows us an extra variable that the original Mega Drive doesn't have. And I think that variable might be the difference between getting huge forces out of this thing versus very, very tiny forces. But we'll see pretty soon. But we do have one, and that's pretty exciting.
What's creating the force?
It's the acceleration followed by the consequent kick, or the acceleration of the accelerated mass.
So this has nothing to do with the electron thing that you were explaining?
No, this isn't a charge thing. This is a mass and acceleration thing over time. You end up radiating power asymmetrically out one side versus the other, and your force is the result of the asymmetrical distribution of radiated power, if I'm understanding it correctly, at least.
It's an asymmetric inertial drive, basically. It's
effectively,
It's just mass being accelerated in one direction faster than it's relaxing back in the other, which is something I talked about years ago under my.
Well, no, I mean, it's not quite like that. Okay, it's not quite mass just simply being accelerated faster in one direction than the other. What's happening is you accelerate mass equally in both directions. You could say if you just shake a mass back and forth, you can do that. But even if you accelerate it equally in both directions, as long as you give it a kick or give, at the point where it reaches its highest velocity, that's when you'd want to try to give an extra acceleration push against it, because the inertia that it's gained, because it's now traveling at some x velocity, is initially higher as a momentary inertia over time than it would be if it was at rest. And so the difference in inertia that it has when it's in motion versus when it's at rest means that the response or the push-off force that you get against it is different.
What's giving the kick?
The kick is actually being given by the same by the transducers that are also producing the push, but we have them split up so that we can play around with the waveforms.
Well, I'd have to see that. But kind of what you're describing is what Steve Hampton's doing with his inertia drive. He's giving it a kick at the he's got sort of gyros that are spinning, and just as when the mass gets to the highest rotation or acceleration, it gives it a kick forward.
Do his
Hey,
gyros
Tony.
actually change speed throughout the course of their cycle?
The rotating pieces, yes, but he's got a solenoid in there that, so when they get to the point where the rotation is in a given direction, he initiates a solenoid and pushes it forward to give it a kick.
Yeah, that's right. That's just like the Dean drive, like the Pi drive, and like some of like many of these other
It's
drives.
based on the Dean drive, but he's done stuff a little bit differently. And he's got a patent in the works right now that just got published with the patent office.
Solid mass centrifugal propulsion, solid mass. Really. I want to see some solid state system. Unless this is also not solid state.
This is not solid state. He's just rotating. It's just, like gyro mass is rotating like a
Somebody, I was commenting out loud. Ed Becknell posted a video link. I just wanted to see what this was.
Oh.
It's called solid mass centrifugal propulsion, but I'm wondering if it is. It's probably moving parts.
Tim just came
Yeah,
back.
hey, no, I'm here. Yeah, I was just saying hi to Tony. Yeah, I'm puttering around. We're moving tomorrow. So yeah. So
Well, I missed most of the day because I was up in Tennessee, and then I had to go to my sister's because the day was my birthday, so they made me go. And so I got back about 8 o'clock, I guess.
Oh no, that's okay. Tony, I was going to ask a question. I feel ridiculous asking it. Is that photo on your Zoom background? Is that actually your garage?
It's my lab in my garage. It's a little bit old. It's arranged a little bit different, but it's pretty much there. Yeah.
See, now only a true engineer would use the Zoom background of their own garage. That was why I was thinking about teasing you about that a while ago, but I didn't think it'd be polite.
I was wondering the same thing because on my end, it looked like there were some digital artifacts, like it's a green screen thing.
Yeah, Todd does that too. Todd actually uses his actual garage.
Zoom allows you to put a background of your choosing in there. So that's what I did, because I'm actually sitting in my bedroom, and if I didn't have that, you'd be seeing my bed behind me.
Yeah, no.
I like your humble lab, Glenn. It may be a humble lab, but a lot of very smart things happen there.
You know what? And
Tony,
yeah.
I'm glad you're here too. Like you've really helped though, like by just applying your ideas here. Like I've noticed. Like, thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's good. I think we have a nice mellow, environment going. That's, thank God the last couple of years have been pretty rocky for everybody, right? So thank God we have a place with a little bit of peace and some, just relaxation there.
Okay, and I want to say something out to Mark and Jeremy. I signed up for the Tesla Tech, so I'll be there.
Oh yeah.
So I saw Mark had signed up for a presentation. So once I saw that, I said, yeah, I guess I'll go.
Just be forewarned that Tesla Tech gets some of the stuff at Tesla Tech is pretty far out there. Like really.
It is. I don't like everything. In fact, very, very little of it do I like. What I like is meeting with people.
Yeah. See, it's a good environment.
Well,
but
I would point it out this year that if you take a look at the roster of names on who's presenting there and what the topics are, that unlike previous years of Tesla Tech's roster, you're going to see an inordinate amount of propulsion people there. It's really, really weird, but it's sort of like the entire conference has shifted towards what we're doing. And in fact, a lot of the names that we've had present are there this year, which could have been one of the reasons why they're there this year, is because
popularized
Tech's been pushing it.
It
But yeah,
could
either
be.
way, it's a very different Tesla Tech than it normally is, and it's one of those that if you're into propulsion, it's one of those years we have to check it out because there are just so many names talking about exactly that.
Yeah.
And they're all talking about the same types of things, especially electrogravity, which is going to be a hot topic. Imagine all those names who have their own theories on electrogravity and devices that they've tested, finally discussing them all in one place at one time. You can bet that's going to be a hell of a conversation.
So this year you said it was Friday the 13th, right, Mark?
Yeah, 1,300 hours too.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, maybe I'll take a look. My wife is dragging me to a beauty pageant. So.
Oh, I forgot to show you guys this. The APEC lab coat logo, iron-on logos. Look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God, send me one.
Yeah.
Where's the merch site? Where's the merch site? I think
that
seriously, you
beautiful?
gotta get merch. Site.
Automatically send those to presenters. If you presented, you got to get one. And if
Yeah.
you're going to present, you got to get one. That's awesome.
true. Yeah, no
And we
doubt,
can, then we
dude.
can, of course, we can offer them to show support.
Merchandise, man. Merchandise gets fucking, sponsorship. You buy whatever the fuck you want with extra money.
Wow. Isn't that beautiful?
That's great. I like it.
The silver metallic threading. It like really catches the light.
Dude, I love that. I would like that on a starter cap.
Yeah, it looked almost holographic at first.
It looks really nice on a black background or on a lab coat, white background.
Yeah, I think a black starter cap would look great with that.
Yeah, like a
Yeah, man. Totally.
I only got like 50 of them, so I don't know if we can give them to all the presenters because we already had about 50 presenters, I think.
Yeah, we're just chip in or something.
I probably should get some more of them. We'll give them
That's
out
just the
at-
first 50.
Yeah.
Oh man, if you get a merch site going, that'd be great because like a little bit extra sponsorship towards all the stuff gets more material in the lab, right?
Maybe. I don't think we're big enough for a merchandise site yet.
Oh, don't kid yourself. When you start adding that stuff, you get more popular. Like you see, like a lot of people are addicted to passion, right? And not only that, they're addicted to like the passion you present. So if your passion is your hobby and what you're presenting, they start getting addicted to it, and they're like, oh well.
I
And
think
then
we
they
should
can participate
not be
by doing
selling these.
replicating. Sorry.
I think we shouldn't be selling these. We should be giving them away to the right people.
That's right. Mark pays for all of them. Thanks, Mark. That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
My business uses I forget what it is on Shopify. It's not Teespring. There's a company where it's basically made on demand. So we don't even hold inventory for my company's merchandise. It's just people order it and they print it and send it out.
Yeah, I've already figured all that shit out too. So like I know everything about merch. I got like all Ty Lopez's fucking shit I've been studying, and just so I can get like I want to get something going so that we can get these guys like I want to produce like material information so that they can replicate the stuff and make it happen, because in my opinion, if for some reason I don't know what's going to happen if I ever die in the future, but if I reborn on this earth, I want an opportunity where I'm going to make it in life, not I'm going to fail. So I will try to create a world where I could do that in.
Printful. That's the name of the company that we use. Printful.
Right on.
Nice. What do you consider making it, Sean?
I'm just thinking about this. I'm working through this.
Well,
so you're going to set up merchandising now for when you're reincarnated so that you can start out.
No. I said,
I'm like, because I'm thinking about that. And I'm like, man, there's a guy who plans ahead. Like some people plan ahead, but like, he's like,
what I'm saying is like, I if I could make money for people who could create a better future, and if I die and I'm reborn in that future, I will have a better life.
Yeah, I'm just.
That's what I'm just saying. I know you're messing with me, dude.
It's that time of the evening here.
Sorry, yeah, and I'm into the hard cider right now, so.
No, it's okay. It's that time of the evening. It's been a long week. Next week's going to be another one, but.
Yeah, I try to keep a self. I actually got the selflessness part I'm trying to figure out, and because someone was telling me about it, me and Nicola. I don't know if you know Nicola Romoski. He's the guy that like turned a bunch of crop circles into UFO blueprints. He has like an entire video on it and on Amazon. It's for sale. Or unless you have Prime, a membership in Canada, you can get access to it. But yeah, like I don't know. I try to remain selfless. You were saying something, Mark, before I cut you off. I didn't mean to.
Oh, I was asking Tim where he's moving to.
Oh, just across town for now. So I mean, the long and short of it, I've told you some of the story, but we've rented a house, right? Because my wife has the preschool. So in our little border town that we live in. And we've been here for 7 years. And our lease, we were going to move out last year and we just had to stay through the pandemic. And so we stayed, and now our lease is expiring, you know, it's like for real this time. They sold the house, right? So we have to move. And so when we looked, property values are, I mean, you've got houses that would normally go for like, you're talking 400,000 maybe, right? That are going for like some high 600s. And it's ridiculous. It's just crazy. And so that it just seems like there's no way the market can sustain that. I mean,
there's a good way of getting beyond it, but you'd have to learn like a lot of trades in an aspect of this. But milling your own wood is the best way to go for price if you were to do it that way. Like if you were to get yourself a log cabin and you knew that people could do it.
Now we're not going to go. We'll do a regular house. I just want to wait for a little bit until the prices drop, because it's overheated. You know, log cabins are cool, but that's too fix it for me.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah, we were putting a bit. I'm in Central Texas. Median household price here is like 246. So things are a little cheaper, but we went and looked at a house that ended up selling. It was listed at 249, I think, and it ended up selling for like 310. So the market's just nuts. But I've been looking into these 3D printed houses. Like there's a company in Austin called Icon that's had like 45 million in funding put into it in the last few years. And, you know, they've developed a 3D printer that prints concrete. So you can essentially build at least the first floor and the foundation of the house in like 48 hours. It's ridiculous.
What? Really?
Yeah, things are changing. I mean,
look up Icon.
And what is it? A polymer? Like a plastic?
No, I know what he's talking about.
It's a proprietary concrete blend. They won't tell what exactly is in it, but it's probably some kind of polymerized concrete.
Yeah, it'd have to be adhesive somehow.
So yeah, for in our case anyways, we're just going to kind of, you know, we're going to rent from a friend for probably about 6 months to a year. And by then the market should cool down, and then we'll probably buy. So
I don't want to be rude, but with all the people dying, their houses are going to start popping up on the market like 9-0.
Well, the other thing too is the thing is, like they had that mortgage moratorium, or the rent moratorium, right? The eviction moratorium. And so you've got people who are behind on the rent, mortgage owners who are behind on their mortgages. Everybody's behind on things, you know, and it doesn't seem like this housing market can stay this expensive with so much bad news backed up, you know. I mean, I went through the 2008 market and it completely crashed, and I don't see how it can't, you know. So I'm
with you. My realtor's like, no, it's not a bubble. Don't worry. Just buy something really nice in a good area. It'll keep going up.
They said that last time.
I don't know about that.
They said that last time. That's the thing. They always say that. Oh, it's not a bubble. No, it'll flatten out. I'm like, how is it not a bubble? Like, you know what I mean? Like
a 2008, right?
Yeah. And see, and I got into the real estate industry because that's my kind of day job career, you know, is tech. And I got into the real estate industry after the 2008 crash, working the foreclosure market. And to me, this has all the same signs, you know. It's like everybody's crazy optimistic and everything is short term, you know, and like all the agents are telling people, they're like, oh, you got to buy now because mortgage rates are so low and prices are going to keep going up, right? And then they tell people to sell. Oh, you got to sell now because prices keep going up. You know, prices will never be higher. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Doesn't it seem like this whole thing is totally artificial based on the pandemic and all that stuff? Yeah. I mean,
self-fear and regulation and fucking everything that's, you know, being prescribed by oneself, it sells fears. Like, yeah, exactly. That's what's escalating the market.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem rational. It doesn't make sense for it to, you know what I mean? And like when you're talking about that much money, if it doesn't make sense, I don't know. For me, at least, you know, my wife and I talked about it. She has a couple friends who are builders, and I have friends who are agents, and everybody's like, this market isn't sane, and I don't know if I feel good going in, you know, when.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm getting cold feet on this purchase that we're in the middle of. It's just not sustainable. I mean, with the inflation rates going up and the unemployment levels and people's wages not increasing to match inflation, like the cost of living is just becoming a larger and larger percentage of your paycheck, and there's just absolutely no way it's sustainable. It's got to crash at some point. Maybe it has nothing to do with the housing market itself crashing, but other things crashing could certainly, you know, spill over into the housing market.
If you're in the middle of buying right now, one of somebody that I really respect, who's pretty high up, a fellow named Michael Krein, who's the head of the National REO Brokers, what he had told me was he said if you're going to buy and you plan on holding for 5 years, it probably doesn't matter, you know, probably doesn't matter if the market is that overheated. So I would say if you're in the middle of a purchase, then, you know, I wouldn't stress if you plan to stay there for a while, but you know, in our case, we can afford to wait a little bit. And so I'm just, yeah, I don't know. I just don't like uncertainty, and there's a lot of uncertainty. You know what I mean? Like that's just me.
It's true, dude. And seriously, don't risk it, because you'll lose all your fucking money, and you don't want to do that. Like, you know, play it right. Play your cards properly.
What we were looking at is a triplex, and something that it needs a lot of work. So there's room, you know, it's being sold for low. And then I look at kind of the tax appraisals, and I'm looking for like, is this being sold at pandemic spike prices, or is it consistent with the prior valuations? And then, you know, being a triplex.
Are you American?
You know, yeah, I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay. All right. Because it's different. I was going to say there's tax write-offs, but in Canada, it's a lot different. I don't know where you're at, Tim. Where are you at? Are you in BC or something?
No, I'm in the Seattle area. So
I thought you're BC.
No, I'm near BC. Well, I'm in a little town called Blaine, so we're right near the border. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right next to BC.
Everything I've been looking at has a little room for equity, you know, with future renovations, as well as, you know, potential rental income to, if things did crash, at least there would be some kind of income production off the property.
Yeah, there you go. So. Yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting time. This summer is going to be weird for me. I keep telling Mark, like every time I talk to Mark, I tell him I'm waiting until this report comes out. That just for me, this just my gut says this is, you know what I mean? It's getting weird. I don't know.
I think they're dividing the haves and the have-nots right now. And I think they're trying to create a huge gap. Think about it. Look at how everything's being done. You know, like the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah. If we're going to get conspiratorial here, I think they've absolutely, whether intentionally or just by convenience, exploited COVID to kind of consolidate monopolies, you know, and make a bigger gap to try and, I don't know, get us all toward that one world global system of masters and slaves that they've all been seeking.
Oh, I fucking hate it, dude. Because I you know what, I've learned a bit about Freemasonry because my father was one before he passed, and I found his shit, and it's weird, dude. It seems like that's the goal. The haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so.
Yeah.
It's pissing me off.
Well, guys, should I probably end recording, or should I just let this go for a while? Do you think?
I might as well free rein it.
Okay, I'll just let it go then. I'm probably going to bail out on you for a bit though, and I'm going to go grab something to eat, start getting prepped and all that stuff. But
I would actually say end recording, just in case there were things anyone wanted to talk about that they didn't want on record. You know, this is sort of the time to say those things and air them.
I say wherever the fuck I want to say.
Well, yeah, but some people might not want to with that recording button going.
Okay, well, yeah, let me do that then. Hold on. Okay, well, there we go, guys. Another APEC session.